Hello, hello, happy Friday. Welcome to our Friday Witchy Hangout. We do this every single Friday where we get together, we mingle our energies, we ask a juicy question of the universe, and we have a pretty okay time doing it. So if that sounds good to you, we are here on Friday, and now you know that. So today we have a lovely, juicy, hopefully knowledgeable and upbeat message where we're asking, what is your next chapter? And I figure on Patreon, we always vote on the readings on Patreon. I figure we probably are going to do something like, what's ahead in 2026. And I feel like this is a good way of kind of talking about that, but it's not necessarily restricted in 2026 or like the full thing. It's just, what is your next chapter? What is like the next thing that you are kind of working on? So hopefully we will, hello. Hopefully we will get some good answers. Thank you, Light of Love, for the super chat. We've also had a very interesting chat here. Kirsty was giving one of these jokes. I'll just read it in case you're not joining us on the live stream. But it was, David's father has 3 sons. 1 snap, 2 crackle, and what is the third one? I'm just going to leave a moment of silence. But the answer was David, which some people got, but I definitely did not because I thought it was Snap, Crackle, and Pop. And then also I've been singing Father Abraham. Father Abraham, how many sons? How many sons had Father Abraham? So, okay, so that's neither here nor there, but moving on into the reading. Hello. We have 3 piles and we do have an anchor card. So I'm just going to toss that up there because I do feel like we read the cards together, and the anchor is just a common energy that's going into all of the piles, or it's an overall energy here. So we have the prayer as the anchor card energy. And then I'm going to put up our choices just in case you have not already chosen your pile. Now is a good time to do that. And even if you have chosen your pile, we like to take just a moment in silence, take one full breath, because one full breath is a meditation, and just turn our gaze inwards, allow the energy to kind of drop any anxiety that you might be carrying, anything that's kind of whirling around in your space. Just allow all of that to kind of settle down and connect to the part of you that is that observer that goes with you lifetime to lifetime. Just go ahead and do that. I like to take a deep breath and then let that peter out into normal breathing, but whatever you do is just fine. So we'll go ahead and do that now. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes and be drawn in to whatever pile or multiple piles you feel drawn into, because maybe your next chapter, maybe it's still at odds with itself. I just heard that might be a message for somebody. Maybe your next chapter is still at odds with itself. Or maybe it has multiple components, and then listen to the readings for the components that are resonating with you. But I'll give you just a couple of seconds here. Hello. All right, Earth. All right. I just want you guys to know that Luna is here with us, but she is sitting on the vent, taking all the heat. So that's just what's going on over here in my world. All right. Oh, and then also before I forget, we are going to read our book, Codependent No More, at the end, like during the general messages. And I'm just saying that in case you dip in and out and you want to check back, like probably in a couple of hours, if you're interested in reading about codependency and unpacking that together with us and with Melody Beattie. I got a full night's sleep last night, so I'm ready to go. Okay, so the forest is pile number 1. Okay, that did go up there. Okay. So, pile number 1, Spirit, what is ahead in their next chapter? Okay, I just heard Britney Spears, My loneliness is killing me. But that doesn't necessarily feel like your next chapter. It feels like maybe what some of you have been going through here. In this maybe like a dark night of the soul kind of an energy. And I feel like maybe that's what you're kind of coming out of, where maybe you've weathered through some kind of a storm, like very, very emotional storm. But for some, okay, so you have to figure out where you're at on the timeline with this, because for some, I feel like maybe this has just started and it has been really intense. And okay, it's making me think of, and I don't know if this reading came out already. I kind of think that it did, but it was that Ardra reading. So Ardra is the earlier form of Shiva, and Shiva rules over that destructive energy, and it links to a nakshatra, Ardra nakshatra in the middle of Gemini, which is like a very, very intense storm, notoriously one of the most difficult places. And its symbol is like a teardrop and also an emerald. And this card a lot of times makes me think about that, because that looks like an emerald to me, but it's like being forged in the forest, like in the darkness. So for some, I feel like this could have just happened, or like just been brought up. And I think that you have been spending some time alone and kind of processing this, but like maybe just starting out, because and it might be introducing you to some kind of spirituality, whatever this storm energy is. For some of you, you've been in this much longer, and I think you're ready to kind of emerge from this forest. And I'm actually getting this with the sky that's emerging back there, because now let me tell you, I wasn't really channeling for this reading, because usually when I'm up and about getting ready, I'll channel certain things for the readings. And I don't necessarily know which pile they're coming in for or anything, but I'll just kind of channel certain things, and it's kind of just getting certain things like kind of fresh in my mind. But I really wasn't channeling much for this reading, at least that I know of, because sometimes Alex and I, like, we have conversations and then that ends up being a part of it. I don't know. It's weird. But I had a little time before we actually sat down. And so I started to just mess around with the cards for specifically pile number 1. And I actually set them to the side in case I was feeling that it was coming through really strong. And I got like 3 actually different energies for this pile. And I'll bring you through them pretty quickly here. But the first one that came out actually surprised me, because when I first sat down to just kind of like try to tap into the energy, I felt happiness, like nothing but happiness coming from this card, where I just felt like this is a group that's really been through it, but you've been honoring your rhythms, and you've been spending some time alone, and you've really been processing through some kind of storm, and it's really made you this gem of a person that you are. And I feel like that's the promise of this time period. But that was the first energy. It was like, I'm picturing kind of like some horses pulling like a wagon or something. And this was like the first group that was out. It was just, and I'm just seeing that horse, like the muscles just like rippling, and the horse yonis as well, they're healer energies, and they are known for doing like God's good works upon the earth. And I just saw them like just their muscles rippling, just pulling this carriage through the night. But now I'm seeing 2 rows of 2 like behind, and I feel like that's these 3 kind of energies. So there's definitely a group here where you've been processing through this, and you've been spending some time alone and honoring that rhythm, and it might have felt like you were a bit in the forest. And I'm hearing that like, are we out of the woods kind of energy? But I feel like you've almost made the forest your home, and you're not scared of it really anymore. And it's not that you've illuminated the darkness. It's that you're very comfortable in the darkness. You're very comfortable with your shadow. You've made friends with all the forest creatures and stuff. And so you're getting ready to kind of leap out into this. And this sky energy just felt really promising, and it felt much lighter and maybe more creative and artistic and like kind of bohemian. And I feel like you've earned this bohemian energy, because being bohemian, it kind of sounds like, oh, I trust my intuition, and then like life is so light. But if you don't do the work to get your intuition on board, right, which sounds like it's a single step kind of a thing, like, oh, just trust your intuition. But what is your intuition? And I feel like that's what you've been kind of, whether you know it or not, like working out here in the forest. This, I'm especially hearing like id, ego, super ego. You've been unpacking your internal space. Like, the things that kind of bubble up to your consciousness, it'll feel very strong, and it'll feel like it's coming from you, because it is. So it'll feel kind of homey, and it'll feel potent. But if you don't do the work to kind of question that space and like demystify it, maybe you think it's all intuition, but it could be certain things coming up from a fear space, or certain things coming up from a trauma space, or even a lacking space. So it'll make something seem like it fits that actually doesn't. This is a group who is, that's what I'm saying, like you've earned this bohemian energy, where you can trust your intuition, because you know what is shadow, you know what is id, for the most part, you know. And it's not like in a cerebral way, like you've gone to school and you know the definition of these things. I'm talking about within you. You can recognize those different voices. You're very familiar with them. And I think it was very scary, at the beginning, especially like unpacking a past chapter here of like some kind of karmic lesson here. And that's been one of the groups that came out. This wasn't the one. Okay, so I'll start here. But I feel like, okay, so the one that came out when I first started shuffling cards to be like, okay, well, what is this? That really shocked me because I was like, that's not what I'm getting at all. It was that you are leaving the getting readings card in the past. Now, I'm kind of taking this, especially in this deck. I feel like this has been maybe a very emotional chapter, but I'm taking this as like unpacking your stuff, whatever it is for you, not necessarily just getting readings, but like maybe being in therapy or like actually really doing this work. Some people are going to call this, I think, in this next year. There's one group here that's going to call time on this forest energy way too soon. It has been an intense energy because they have been through the storm, and they feel, I think, bored by it. They don't want to be tethered down to like that storm energy, but this is an initiation. Some people here, they're going to leave this in the past. They're going to, it's also like, it is this karmic energy here. And I feel like they are going to think that this is like I'm just going to trust myself, right? That bohemian energy. I'm just going to live in the moment. But this is not a group who's kind of sussed it yet. They haven't sussed out their insides. So they want to just follow their intuition and what they mean by that really. And they would know this if they had really fleshed this out, is that they just don't want to be bothered by it. They just want something that feels easy and they just want to trust their impulse energy and they want to call that intuition. And then I think I just heard addiction to sympathy as well. There might be a slight, because it doesn't feel huge, but there might be a slight addiction to sympathy of maybe this is a group that can be particularly hard on their friends because the friends kind of maybe see this and reflect back to just maybe be alone for a while, or that, hey, like you've really been through something. So just take time to really care for yourself. And this person might want to just blow past it, because I think that living in the moment energy isn't that at all. I think they're jumping right back into a sweet talk kind of energy. Now, this could be with a new person, or this could be with somebody here from the past. And then in the future, it's going to bring about this love-hate kind of energy. And they look like they're on the Libran scales. And so it's kind of balancing something out. I do feel like this is karmically, it's kind of they're reaping what they're sowing here. And their internal turmoil is played out externally again, I want to say, with this group, where it's like kind of balancing out and they're confronting their shadow, but like in another person. And they're having to live through it in that way. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I know that there's like some intense communication on the internet that we have to be perfectly healed before we get into relationships with other people. I don't believe that at all, but I feel like this is a group that has been through something very tumultuous. Spirit is where they're at in their journey, where this group particularly is at in their journey, is maybe it's hard for these people to spend some time alone. Maybe it's scary to like kind of let everything settle. I mean, and I know I'm actually a person who likes to spend a lot of time alone, but there's definitely certain times that I've gone through where I'm scared to be alone because I'm scared to admit something, or I'm scared to like face something in particular. It could just be that energy. And this is like a running sort of energy because Spirit is wanting this person to be secluded. And what does it say? Separation. So they're maybe asking for a separation here, reflection and soul searching for some kind of different perspective or some kind of different answer. Now, for those of you who've already been through this, like I feel like you've already been through this and you are a testament to the potency and the power of this. I just heard like a duck outside of water. So it might feel like this particular group that's called to this path, it just feels like a duck out of water, like, well, I don't want to go to the dark, scary forest. I want to find a pond in the sun. That's what I'm used to doing. But it feels like that ugly duckling story where maybe you're not a duck, you're a swan. I mean, the swan still wants the pond energy, but you get what I'm saying. Virginia, thank you so much for the super chat. A dream I had over the summer brought me to your channel. It's been extremely helpful beyond belief. Thank you. That's so interesting. Thank you for sharing. And then I pulled a card as well for like a variable that is very somehow significant. So for this group, I feel like family is somehow a significant variable here. And it could be because maybe a family has started like with this person and it's not exactly the best situation to start that in. But it also could be family is, again, like maybe helping this person, because this person, I'm kind of getting they off-gas their introspective work. And I don't think they mean to do this. And I don't think that they're trying to do this. I just think that there's something, they are running, but they're running mentally and emotionally. So they just want to throw themselves into an impulsive situation. They want to call it intuition, which it's not. They don't want to take time to like kind of unpack that. And then they want to, I think like when shit hits the fan, which was totally foreseeable, by the way. And I feel like this person's been messaged several times. then they draw on that family support, which may be waning, or it might be like really hard here on a family, or they could jump in with somebody who maybe has a family, but family is somehow a significant variable there. And I feel like that is very much juxtaposed with that first energy that I was picking up on, where they're kind of going through different paces because there was this kind of karmic lesson energy here in the past, because that's like another thing here. And it might be with a karmic, or it might be with a karmic soulmate here, but it's that same Ardra kind of stormy energy. And this person is leaving this like, I miss you energy in the past. Like this kind of longing, because this person, like, see how they look alone here. So they've kind of kept themselves secluded. This is them moving into 2026 or moving into the next chapter of their life, right? So they're leaving this I miss you in the past, and they're genuinely living in the moment. This is a person that's genuinely happy. And I feel like they've done a lot to parse through like responsibility energy. Like they've only taken responsibility for what's theirs to take ownership of. And then they're saying, you know what, and I can't force you to change. And, I have to kind of like acknowledge that. But I feel like there's sunny skies ahead for like this group that has actually taken the time to be in the forest here, or will take the time to be in the forest. Then there's some genuinely happy moments ahead. There might be a vacation or just some time in the sun, physically and metaphorically. And that's leading in the future to this like faith energy. This feels like a genuine like communion with spirit, I want to say. And it's like really actually a very beautiful energy. And I know this is like a praying card, but I feel like they're actually going to get an answer to their prayers. Something that they genuinely wanted, because they're no longer trying to make a square peg fit in a round hole. And I feel like that's this first group. They're kind of, the first group is rebuffing guidance. And it's not like they need an outside perspective. They need a different perspective. And I feel like this first group here that we went through, they need that, because that's not the way that they're used to looking at this person or this situation. Oh, my nose, all of a sudden I really want to sneeze. So yeah, they are not used to that, and they need that kind of outside perspective to kind of pop whatever the cycle is that's going on and on. So this person has genuinely done that. They've looked at the situation from a different side of things. They've pulled apart their responsibility. And what I just heard, the serenity prayer: God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, which seems like their own life and their own inner situation, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I feel like I just heard, I know the prayer of your heart, little one. And so I feel like spirit is coming in to say, like, what you thought existed in that other space, what you're actually like longing for, this is the way to get it. But you have to engage with truth. You have to engage with the reality of the situation and the reality of like your emotions, and that, maybe this isn't a loving situation if you're feeling a certain way. Like, so, and look, they're maybe even going through a phase of like being happily single. The Bayou, thank you so much. Sending good vibes and healing energy to the Chaos Coven. And yeah. And so I feel like that, okay, so I actually just Spirit just told me to grab this whole bunch. I haven't even looked at this part for this particular group, but Spirit was like, all these go together too. But, and I feel like that's going to be shocking news for somebody here, that somebody is choosing to be happily single here, because maybe they're used to pulling this person back into, whether this is a romantic relationship or for some of you this is like a family situation. It's got that cling to it, and that's reminding me of like Anurata energy. Anurata being the nakshatra in the middle of Scorpio, which is it's a water sign, that kind of watery, stormy energy. But a lot of times those are souls that are consistently sucked into abusive relationship dynamics. And Anurata is genuinely one of the most beautiful energies in the entire zodiac to me, because it's very giving and it's very loving, and a lot of times they're very intense and they love like very deeply, but that is what gets taken advantage of here. So I feel like this is a group that gets kind of maybe taken advantage of because they're so deep and they haven't really allowed themselves to process the depth of emotions that they feel, because they're always like giving and they're always looking at a situation very favorably to the other people that are causing them pain, which is kind of beautiful, but it also like gets them tied in with the wrong situations and the wrong people. And the narrative in their head tends to be like anti-self in a way, so I feel like it's bringing on some kind of like shocking news. Yeah. And they're dealing with like a coping energy. Yeah, bad credit. I'm getting that like karmically speaking, where they're bumping heads with somebody somebody here who maybe like left you hanging. And they could have left you hanging in like a ghosting sense, or this person just like walked away and left you stuck in it to like kind of process and deal alone. But it also could be that they just left you hanging because they never showed up to your relationship and it was actually never fair. But this person could actually like never say that. This person is somebody who's like, this second group here, I feel like has unpacked that and is moving on. And it's putting what the karma back onto this person's plate. and I want to say the karmic in this situation, like your karmic, or maybe you feel like this person's a karmic soulmate. But the way that I use karmic and soulmate is if somebody is your karmic, I feel like you're learning lessons in both situations, but with a karmic, it might really like put you on a roller coaster in some kind of way, but also spirit is wanting to move the two of you apart, at least for a period of time, right? Because karmic soulmate might be, we're going to move you apart for a bit of time so you guys can heal on your own and then bring you together in the future. But it can't happen if you are only thinking about you guys being together in the future and not actually living in the separation as it's here now, like as if it's going to continue. Like the potency can't like really exist. But with a soulmate, you're growing together. So I feel like it's pushing this karmic or this karmic soulmate, their responsibility to do their work, like back on their plate. I'm hearing in 2026, like actually like in this kind of upcoming year. And they're actually like very ashamed of the way that things ended between the two of you. And it may involve this like Jezebel kind of an energy. So that's the second group. So we talked about two different scenarios here. And then this I feel like is for the actual karmic, who I would say is like some kind of karmic. Yeah, like karmic or karmic soulmate, this next group that we're going to look into. Because even the first group, I feel like the first group is like still on the receiving end of maybe some bad behavior from somebody here. But they're just being really hard-headed because they think that that person is an answer to their prayer, like to something that they prayed for. But that person is kind of blind to them and the suffering that they're causing and something like that. So that was the first group. And then the second group was somebody who's actually taken the hit of that energy and is actually processing through it. Now, this third group that I was picking up on here in pile number 1, I feel like is the karmic soulmate. So they're leaving the karmic lesson here in the past. So I feel like that's this group here calling time on the situation. So it wraps it up with a bow. And so that lesson, the karmas that are going on, it's no longer like in flux. This is closed. So it's like they can't do anything to influence this situation anymore. It's like it's done. So the karmas are going to unfold from that place. And then we have pregnancy and bad news. So I feel like, or this says fake news, but I did get like some kind of bad news. So I think they're having to confront that they were operating from a premise that just isn't true. Because I just feel like whoever the karmic was here in this like karmic lesson, they were overlooking somebody's strength and they were kind of mistaking somebody's kindness for weakness because that person was like endlessly forgiving. And so they had no reason to kind of understand the depth, because there's a real scorpionic energy here coming from whoever has been on the receiving end. Who has not been treated respectfully or fairly, in this relationship, who's been cheated on, who's like that person has really developed a depth of emotion and maybe emotional intelligence. But I think they don't necessarily give a lecture on like emotional intelligence or anything like in their relationships. I think they're just they're operating from a place of, I think, ultimate compassion and empathy towards this person, but they've had to kind of clean that up for themselves. So it leaves this person realizing that they were operating under some kind of fake premise and they might well receive some kind of bad news. And it could be that this person has moved on. Maybe it's that this person is in some way pregnant, and that can be a metaphor of like they're doing really well in their life, or there's something here that they're birthing into the world, and it could be a creative project, or it could be an actual family or an actual child, or they could receive some kind of pregnancy news that is like, or maybe even a fake pregnancy news. I don't know, but it feels... Oh, look, bad news. Okay, so that's why I was getting bad news. Oh my gosh, my foot is asleep. And maybe that's part of it too. Here. Where, their foot is asleep. So, okay, they could have realized that they were just very, like they need to move, like that the blood flow is not getting through in a certain place in their life. It's going to make them realize, and it's in my foot, right? So it's like, going to be awkward for me to move forward now. So they could be realizing that it's going to be awkward for them to move forward. I feel like, they got caught out, and it's because they were trying to manifest. I feel like this person's maybe even trying to manifest a reunion here, or maybe even a pregnancy with somebody who's like getting away from them, and that person's not happy. But I feel like they're manifesting from a corrupted space. And so they're manifesting some kind of like unhappiness. Again, I want to say in the year 2026, or like just that's their next chapter. So I just heard like, think about this and think about who you want to be here in this scenario. But I feel like there's a lot of different ways that this energy could kind of come through. But I do feel like for the vast majority of you, because what was coming through to me psychically is that for most of you, you have really taken this with a lot of grace. I just heard grace might as well be your middle name. That you have really gone through it, and it's not, you've really trusted spirit. And I feel like that's kind of a part of this. To get on the spiritual journey, you have to not be in charge and you have to trust spirit. And so for a lot of you, I feel like the timing here. So there could be something inconvenient about the timing where it's like, okay, now I have to pull back and like be in the woods and be alone and go through this hard period of time. This could be what your next chapter is for those of you that are just kind of starting this journey. And you may well have been here before with this person, or just in your life. Maybe there's a certain pattern that plays out in your relationships. And it's because I feel like, yeah, the person that you're dealing with is a certain way, but it's like, what part of you plugs into that? Not saying that you take responsibility for the entire situation, but why are you attracted to that? And if you could figure that out, whether it's your attachment style and that is what feels like home. But if you could see it for what it really is, you would be less attracted to it and you would be attracted to something else. And that's what Spirit's trying to do. But I do feel there's a genuine pull towards a spiritual journey via this experience, which means you're on Spirit's time. So when you're saying, well, this is inconvenient for me, or this should be over by now, Spirit is going, you still don't get it. You still don't get it. You're not in charge. And it's better when you're not in charge. Spirit is saying, I can see you. I can see like what's going on here. And so I'm going to get you on this journey here, but we're going to do it right. And we're going to do it the right way. And we're going to do it my way because your way hasn't been working, And so this is kind of overthrowing the ego. The ego likes to think it's God and it likes to think that it knows everything. So Spirit is saying what we're doing is we're overthrowing the ego. And that is like very important. It's also deeply uncomfortable. So some of you are coming off of this, and in which case maybe you're drawn into another pile here. And this is just like reassuring you, because I feel like for some of you, if you were drawn in here at all, but you definitely have been going through this journey, then you're kind of like right on the precipice of that. And I feel like it's really happy that's coming in. But for others, it's much more in flux, because like you're right smack dab in the middle of this journey, or you've just started it, or maybe you've restarted it because you've turned away from some kind of like something here in the past. But so you have to figure out where you're at on the timeline. But I do feel like for the vast majority of you, this is like happy energy. And even if you are still in the middle of this forest energy, it's a legitimate part of the process. It can be actually very enjoyable. And you might meet some like, I just heard the word intimacy. You might meet like a long-term friend, or like somebody here that's like, and you'll know that they're your friend too, because they were with you like when you were down. They were with you when you were like alone and like you weren't trying to put on a show for them because you didn't have the energy because you were working through this other thing. So I feel like you're really planting seeds is what this is. And I just heard in the subconscious. So I feel like you're planting new seeds in the subconscious. But for some of you, like that's really getting ready to grow. This is coming out as like prescient or like happening now. So like I said, some of you, if you were drawn into this pile at all, you might have been drawn into a different pile. And Spirit's just kind of telling you to keep going with this. Keep your eye on the track here. Because this is going somewhere. It's leading somewhere. For others, there is just a heads up here that like I said, it comes back, I think, to that boho energy, really earning that boho energy of being able to live in your intuition. Not everybody can live via their intuition. Even if they have intuition and it's very strong, it'll just be very spotty and you'll feel betrayed by Spirit, but actually it'll be your inner voice that has betrayed you. Like, and why did you lead me into the jaws of this or that? And Spirit's saying, I'm trying to teach you how to do this. And Spirit is, to me, it's like a healthy parent where Spirit doesn't want to do everything for you. Spirit doesn't want a codependent relationship. Spirit doesn't want you relying on it all the time, but rather is teaching you how to be self-sufficient. And I feel like that's what's going on here is it's helping you to pull apart what is intuition, what's like, I just heard empathy, like being overly emotional is not the same thing as empathy. And it could be maybe that's for some of you like the energy that's coming from family or that's being given to family, this over emotionality. And it's, I'm just so tenderhearted and therefore I'm very empathetic. That's maybe an over preoccupation actually with the self. So it's pulling all of these things apart so that when you're trying to figure out your pathway, you don't get pulled in all of these directions and you're like, well, which is my intuition? It's like so that you're able to work with your own system much, much better. And this situation is ripe for you to do that. And I'm kind of getting that this, for some of you, like in past lives, this is a soul that has like walked right up to this, this jump off point to like something different. Cause this is like on the verge of new level of spiritual consciousness kind of thing. Okay. I just looked up a Ramana and he's like smiling at me very lovingly. And that always makes me think like that's your spirit guides that are very loving. So don't feel bad. There's no guilt. We all like, move forward in our own time, but they're just very proud of you. And even if this is Anurata energy where you walk up to the line and you get sucked back in, but you walk up to the line, that's still very valid because you're building up a kind of internal strength that you might well need in the next chapter. And that's a part of the process too. Just like a butterfly, when it gets out of the cocoon, it's got to push its way out and that's how it builds its wing strength. So just wherever you're at on your journey, like have some compassion, but also confidence in yourself, and have confidence in your journey, wherever it is that you're at, and try not to compare yourself to other people. But if you're hearing this and you're kind of been thinking like, oh, I just want things to be easy again. Like, this is too much. This is too hard of work. I don't think that would be a conscious thought so much. I think it would be there, but I think it would be mixed in with I just I don't know. I just want to trust my intuition. I just want to boho. I just want to and that's what seems so happy. But right underneath that, this is too hard. This is too much. I don't want to look at myself. This is too weighted down or something. I feel like if you're there and you're receiving this message, Spirit is saying it's still up in the air. It's still in flux what your next chapter could be. And this is a prompt that you make this because something is trying to pull you unconscious again. Just go with it. Don't take time to learn and understand yourself and unpack your old patterns and habits, and to understand that this, like the Carl Jung quote says that, if you don't get to know your own shadow, then it will show up in your life and you will call it fate. So there's a group here that I think is really I just want to call it fate again. I just want it to be totally mysterious the way that this kind of came out. Spirit is just ringing the bell and saying, it's like the alarm clock that's going off again. Because there's a group here that does want to keep hitting snooze, and Spirit's saying it's not fate. And this is totally predictable. And for some, your friends and family maybe can have been reflecting this back. I told you that guy was bad news. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. He's been cheating on you before. It's not a surprise that he's going to cheat on you again. Don't you want to unpack the control dynamics and, what this actually is? Because it's not fate. It's a cop-out to call it fate. Because it's simple. It's easy. It just goes right in the box, that was just fate. But Spirit is saying you're manifesting. And you're manifesting from your shadow and from your subconscious. So there's just a ring-a-ding-ding. So I think I'm going to leave that there here with pile number 1. There's 3 different piles. That's what's ahead in your next chapter. And there's a lot of processing energy here in pile number 1. Everything's kind of in flux, and this is kind of a difficult energy to pinpoint because everything here is still in motion. And I think that's a reminder, even if you are doing really well on your path, that everything here is still in motion, and Spirit is just encouraging you to kind of keep going on your way. Because there's a group here as well where I feel like you are actually on the up and up. You are actually doing your work. I don't think that things are going to change here necessarily at the beginning of the year. There's one group here where it's changing, but it's not going to change super soon at the beginning of the year, but it's maybe later on. But in Spirit is just saying, you run straight through that finish line. It's going somewhere. You run straight through that finish line. So yeah, this has been a very emotional journey, and unpacking the emotions and realizing the way emotions kind of tint the lens. And it feels like there was some type of big emotional energy that was kind of needed that this situation somehow brought up to the surface that's available for you to actually work through and clear out, like a spring cleaning kind of a thing. And Spirit's saying, we're ready if you are, kind of a thing. And it's definitely worth it. But if you want to go around again, that's up to you. And you would be building that wing strength, because it will be a rotten situation and you will have to pull yourself back out. And you can go through all the stages of that, thinking this is an answer to your prayer and it's a fantasy and everything like that. But it'll, crash and burn. And then you have to, was the pain enough to make you want to kind of wake up to it, or was it not, And no judgment coming from that. Your spirit guides are saying, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Things will never be the same. So yeah, Spirit's saying that's just the way it is. And we're just saying are you ready to work with us? Because we're here. You're at a point now where you could really work with us. We could really ramp this up kind of a thing. But some of you are already kind of going through that. Okay, so that was pile number 1. And I'm just going to throw this back up here. If you're just joining us, you have joined us at a very good time. We just finished pile number 1. And we will be moving on to pile number 2. Yay! Happy New Year! Boho, boo-hoo, maybe. Nice. Compassion. Yes, thank you so much. So that Carl Jung quote is, until you make the unconscious conscious. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Exactly, yeah. Thank you for that. People like to think of themselves as experts rather than students. That is so true. And really that beginner's mindset really is where it is. That's really where it is. And I like the scientific mindset as well, because in science, you have a theory, right? And theories are actually pretty robust. Like that means there's a lot of evidence. If something is actually like pulled itself together enough to be like a theory, especially a theory that's like in the mainstream or whatever. But there's an acknowledgement there of like hubris, because as we gain more information, that theory can morph and shift and change or like disprove itself entirely. And there might be a better explanation for why you're seeing the phenomenon that you're seeing. But it might be one part of like a more complex picture. And then that theory needs to kind of update itself. And that is, I think, science attempt at maybe doing its own shadow work, because we all know that like science doesn't have the best reputation for, for instance, when we realize that the sun is at the center of the universe and not the earth, like, there's a lot of pushback from those things, even violent pushbacks for every time there's like a new level of understanding. And so just acknowledging that everything is just a theory. And that is, for me, I think about it when we're walking, because we're bipedal, right? So you got two legs and you got to plant one leg to swing the other. So when we form up into a theory and you speak with your strong voice of this is the way that I'm making sense of something here, you can do that and still be in a student mindset where you plant that leg and say, this is my theory of the way that things are working, but I'm going to swing this and see if I can't put weight on this now. And if I can't, then I'll go back to the drawing board here, And it's this kind of like back and forth, like between the two, if that makes sense. It's a big step. One big step for man. Okay, so I'm just going to put my lip gloss on. It be popping. My lip gloss be popping. Exactly, Jess. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Okay. My feet are all crazy right now. Okay, so pile number 2 is the warrior. Pile number 2. All right, let's see. I feel like this group maybe has been like running kind of rapidly, maybe. Like kick something up in high gear. I'm getting a really good vibe off of this. Okay, so what is coming in here, Spirit, for pile number 2? What's the next chapter here for? Oh my gosh, wow. Okay, so I just saw the Magician and the Temperance card, both major arcanas. Major arcana for me, that's big soul journey stuff, but those are actually Gemini Sagittarius energy, which forms an axis. And funny enough, it's teacher-student. And we were just talking about how important like a student mindset is, but I feel like you have really integrated some, I'm getting goosebumps, like you're really integrated some teaching that you have received from that Temperance energy, which is like, it could be a spirit guide energy because it is that like angelic energy. It could even be higher self, or you've connected with your higher self in some kind of way. And you really have turned inward, because I'm seeing in that Temperance card, the eyes are closed and like kind of pulled within. And there's such a balanced energy, but like maybe even balanced being in 2 different worlds. And that might be like this world, the 3D, and like the spiritual world. I'm getting goosebumps. You're in a good energy. Oh, wow. It almost feels icy cold. And what I'm getting from that is there's like ancestor energy or guide energy all around you. It feels like this is a group that's really actually connected and plugged in with like their dharma, even if it's just internally for now. There's like a strong focus of like, again, internal and like connected with the heart here. Yeah. And for some of you, you actually are embodying some kind of teaching energy, but you might not even realize it, because I feel like you're not teaching with your mouth, which is actually so powerful. You've just integrated and you've embodied, and the way that you move through the world is an answer for some people. Like they're just kind of, and maybe some of you are just like unbothered, or like not unbothered, like you're just like, somehow you maintain your balance, even in the storm, or even in like other people might feel like they are getting like pulled around, like at work or something. And you are just like, you maintain some kind of equilibrium, and it's not you being apathetic or anything else. And I feel like this is kind of leading into some like new level, or like, so some of you might be getting a promotion this year. There's definitely an upgrade in people's minds. Okay. So you're elevating, but I feel like there's definitely in your next chapter, you're elevating in people's minds. For sure. And that is eventually going to tip over into like the 3D realm, where you might be getting some like level of a promotion. And it might not be literally at the job that you're working now, where you're like for a management position. It might not be that, but it might be maybe you go to a different field or a different job or something here. Promotion. I'm hearing that promotion for this group. I feel like there's some kind of promotion, and it starts off in people's minds. They just sort of like are thinking about you, and I feel like even discussing you, but I feel like it might be in positive terms. And for some of you, this is because you've mastered something. Like this might be kind of funny because I've read your cards, a lot of you, for a while. And so there's like maybe a mirroring energy of you had to go through something really, really tough. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. You had to go through something really, really tough where people were maybe trying to undercut and sabotage and undermine you because they were threatened by like your grace or your brilliance or your bigness in some kind of way. And they were trying to like hold you back, or they were misunderstanding you either because they were just weren't soulmates. And so they really didn't know what they were looking at, or they did know and we live in a capitalistic, like hierarchical, very competitive world. There's only so many like upward positions and it gets smaller and smaller. So they may have wanted that, but it feels like this is a mirrored energy where now people are discussing you like very happily and very positively. And there's something about you where maybe you've mastered or learned how to not allow people to project on you. Like I'm just seeing certain things like just bouncing right off of you, and you've mastered some kind of lesson. Ooh, I'm hearing that your guides asked you to master. Your guides were kind of dragging you through the mud there a little bit, but, and they're, I just saw one of your guides be like, sorry, but you, excellent. See, don't you feel better? So I feel like they're trying to have you learn something. And they were like, do you see the point of this now? Because now you're like, you're so integrated and you're so strong and you're so powerful. And I feel like actually I'm getting promotion. I'm getting like a blooming kind of an energy here. There's like a lot of stability. And for some of you, you could be offering this to somebody else, but I feel like this is kind of like your energy. So, oh my gosh, I feel like this is that answer to the prayer. Didn't I say that in pile number 1? Like there was one group, sorry, there was like a hair in my mouth. There was one group where Spirit was like, I'm going to give you an answer to your prayer. Like, I know your actual heart's desire. And if you go with me, I can give you this. And it's not like from an outside perspective of like, good boy, here's a cookie. Like, that's not what Spirit is trying to do. Spirit is saying, literally, if I put you in that position before you've mastered these certain things, it's not going to be the blessing that you think it is. It's going to crumble back down until you learn this karmic lesson. And that's not Spirit making the decision to punish you. That's just the way it is, because it's part and parcel with the thing that you want, right? That prayer kind of energy. There has to be some kind of like transformation in order to kind of fill it. And this is a group that's very much filling out, is what I'm getting. Like you're filling out your vibration, or you're filling out like your potential, or like some kind of dharmic energy here. This is nice, but it's also like strong. And I kind of get that this is important that we're doing this right now, me and you. And like, I'm telling you this because you're not going to notice. I feel like you're not going to notice that actually people are looking at you this way, because I just feel like you're so focused on yourself and maintaining this balance, not in a way that you're like sweat pouring down your face and you're like, oh, I have to really focus on it. It's you're just in the flow. I feel like this is kind of like flow state, but you're focused on balance, your own inner balance, your own kind of like temperance energy. And that's going to produce some kind of results. You've been like really focused on yourself, and people are going to notice. But again, I think this is a group that's definitely been on the spiritual journey too, because I think that you're not trying to get flattered. And also like, I think when people have complimented you or praised you in the past, it's maybe not amounted to anything. Or maybe those are the people that sabotaged you, or yeah, like it didn't really amount to anything. And you're like, well, it doesn't really matter. Like if I'm the best that I can be, I have to learn how to do that just for myself. Like just to want me to be the best that I can be just for myself and without any accolades, or I don't want to be transactional. And like, so I feel like you're really actually focusing on that. And actually, if you are receiving compliments, I feel like this is going somewhere. This is actually going somewhere, and it might shock you. For some of you, it's like maybe it's something that you're going to do independently, or you could actually like receive some type of a promotion. But I am hearing the word elevation, and I feel like it started internal. We were elevating what you were expecting from yourself and the way that you were kind of processing, and then it's gone in people's heads. People have kind of noticed in their heads. Then it's going to go to people kind of discussing this, and then it's going to manifest into some kind of like opportunity. You're going to cross through some kind of threshold here. Oh my gosh. And like, I just saw you like, this is the threshold, the going through this rainbow energy, and the rainbow, like in Christianity, you know, that's the flood. Oh my gosh. And that Ardra energy, it's like, again, like the very stormy water energy, but the rainbow was the sign of like, I'm never going to do this to you again. It was like God's covenant of like, that was really hard. Remember when I tried to drown your entire civilization? My bad. I promise I'm never going to do that again. That was basically, I'm summing up. That's not the exact words from the Bible. You'll be surprised to know, but that was just me summing it up. And then Jesus said, my bad, G. Heather, thank you so much for the super chat. Learning to put my oxygen mask on first. Yeah. And that might have been a problem with this group, like of feeling guilty for that. But I think you're shaking that where you're like, no, actually I function better. And then a rising tide lifts all boats kind of a thing. So, okay, you know what's funny is I keep shuffling these cards because I'm going to pull out a spread. That was my intention like this entire time. Like for to do this reading, I was like, oh, I'm going to do this spread. But I keep shuffling and I feel like, and then I just keep getting more information. It's like this group is so in flow. Like you're just so in process. Like you might, okay, so you might have had a plan for something and the plan is like going to kind of come about. Like you're going to achieve what you were trying to do anyways. Like this is kind of like coming through. You're going to achieve what you were doing anyways, but you might not have to do it like, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, like kind of building it up. Where in pile number 1, it's funny because I actually did need to do that. And actually I prepared beforehand. And that was you're just at a different place. And I feel like that's more student and this is more teacher because in tarot it goes student, teacher, healer, master. And student and teacher are two sides of the same coin. And I always think about this because I had the great fortune of going to a very good high school. And one of the things that my favorite teacher would do is we had to teach one lesson. All of us in the class, and that's how we covered more topics. And he said that you actually learn more when you teach because you have to be like very prepared and like you want to be prepared and you want for like any question that might come up. And so it's a way, and he was always big on that. He taught us about goal setting. Like he was a science teacher, but he taught us about goal setting. He taught us about like these kind of life lessons. He just sort of baked into the course. And that's maybe you is what I'm getting. Or some kind of your spirit guide did that. Like, I'm getting goosebumps again. Like there's something here that was just sort of baked into the course. You were following maybe some kind of course. Maybe you took a course or something, but maybe you had a really good teacher like that. Like Mr. Allen from my high school years that, and I loved science just anyways. But yeah, he just had a way of baking in and it was so holistic and very well-rounded. And so, yeah, maybe you've gone through something here, but you learned a lot of life lessons on the way. That's what we call like school of hard knocks. And you didn't even realize it. Oh my gosh, I feel like this is spirit guide energy. And again, it feels like very, very cold, which just feels like you've got a lot of spiritual energy around you at this time. Christy, thank you so much for the super chat. I think I've become codependent on you these last 5 years. I can't start my day until I hear your daily message and the Friday live chats. Oh, well, hopefully we're not codependent, but I'm glad that they're helping. Alex and I always joke about being codependent too. Not that it's like actual codependency, but and thank you guys so much for the super chats. And thank you so much to those of you who have been sending me the super chats and your nice little notes behind the scenes. Like I said, I don't like to call those people out by name, even though I do recognize a lot of you, because I figure if you're kind of giving it behind the scenes that maybe you don't want to be shouted out or like just for whatever reason. So, but yeah, thank you guys so much. Okay, so here I am still shuffling. Let's actually see like what's coming up. Look, you are just standing in your power. Look at you. You are standing in your power. I feel like you're having some kind of rebirth, actually. And you've completed a karmic cycle here because this, to me, it is like right on that cusp of Ravati energy and Ashwini energy. And Ravati sometimes does have to do with like a group or something here. So you're standing out from a group is what I'm getting. But Ravati, when it's healthy, man, it's a group that really gels well together or something like that. So you could even be emerging. You might even think that you don't stand out in that group because maybe it's a group that's very healthy or like moving along or something, but spirit has like illuminated you or pulled you forward here. And I'm kind of getting the image in my mind of like if you've ever water skied, like so you're back there, you're just floating in the water and like whoever's driving the boat like guns it, and then it's that so this might be fast for some of you. And again, you might not realize what you're doing because when you learn, it's like anything with the body. Like when you learn how to ski, it's just like, it just kind of takes over you. It's just, you push your feet against the water and like that pops you up. So there's something here like that where you're just going with it or something. And it becomes like kind of second nature. And then you're popping up and you're like really skiing here. It's kind of what I'm getting. But there's like definitely a rebirth energy. There has been here, and I'm not even going to focus on it because I feel like you're not focused on it and I feel like that's great. But there is some kind of like energy that is defensive and sad that you are rising. But again, I feel like this kind of ties in with the pile number 1, like some of the subcategories there where it's like they're sad to have lost you or they're sad that you're like breaking away is what it feels like. You're breaking away or like you're running away with it here. Alana, thank you so much for the super chat. Okay, so what else is going on here for group 2? I want to actually teamwork, collaboration. There is somebody here that just keeps coming out. It doesn't feel like your energy that is just like kind of nervous or anxious. Maybe some of you might feel a little bit nervous or anxious. Like at first, I just heard imposter syndrome because you might feel a little bit like, I don't belong here. Like, oh, maybe some of you, oh my gosh, this is the cutest thing I've ever seen. And I feel like it's important for me to just call this out because I feel like as people start to maybe recognize you, you'll have this like imposter syndrome because in the past, I feel like you were trying to stand out and there's nothing wrong with that. Again, you've got to eat, you've got to feed yourself. You have to prepare for your future. And we all want to be good at what we do and to be seen for that. And I feel like in the past, you were really trying, like you were making some kind of like effort. This is ego consciousness is what I heard. You're really making some kind of effort to like stand out and you were doing all the right things. And it drew a certain kind of attention to you because I don't know why. But now that you're just kind of in this flow state and you're like, whatever, I'm doing my best for whatever reason. Now all of a sudden people are like, yeah, go. And you're like, I feel like I'm an imposter. Like I wasn't really, and it feels like it's because you weren't trying, or I think what you're saying in your mind is like, I wasn't trying to trick them, but you were never trying to trick people in the past. You were really trying to like be that. And I think that was like a part of you building up like some kind of skill set or some kind of strength, but it's all kind of coming together. It almost feels like magical, but it feels just like seamless is what it feels like. Flow state, just that seamless kind of energy. So I'm determined to get this spread out. I'm determined. Okay. I'm just determined now. I'm not getting pulled off from any messages. Look, there's so much collaboration, happiness. I love this. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is really sweet. Spirit loves you. Okay. It's been hard. There's some acknowledgement here where Spirit's like, that was a tough storm that you went through. And I feel like this is Spirit making some kind of an amends or making some kind of an apology. Not necessarily because it needs to, because there's a recognition that you needed to go through this and you're like elevating up, but it's like, I'm so sorry, sweetie. I'm so sorry that like I had to do that to you. But we were like leading you forward, but there's like, you're going to feel the love of Spirit and how proud Spirit was. Cause I feel like Spirit might've had to hold off on that. Just to keep you focused and to keep you it is somebody who's very skilled at teaching is what it feels like. I don't want you to get distracted and I don't want you running on praise is what I just heard. I don't want you to get used to the cookie of like, good boy. Like they don't want you relying on that. They want you very plugged in here. So I think Spirit was so proud of you. Like at certain moments, this is like a tough teacher, but this also reminds me of my grandma. I have 2 fire sign grandmas. I have a lot of fire sign energy and air energy in my family. And so this one grandma of mine, she's the one, I've mentioned her before. She's just so funny because she's like very stern, but she's actually very funny and like charismatic. But like she would always kind of like, whenever I'd be doing something kind of wrong and I didn't exactly know what it was, but she would just from nowhere like would appear and she would just shake her head and be like, and it would just spike my anxiety so much because I'm like, A, where did you come from? And B, what am I doing? I would so much rather prefer that you would just tell me what I'm doing wrong. But I feel like she always had this glimmer in her eye, this like little twinkle, like that even though she was being very stern and she wasn't gonna, use any words to comfort me in that moment, that she loved me and that there was just kind of this like, she was just very fire sign is like the only way that I can describe this. And I feel like Spirit's been that way with you, where Spirit has maybe just been like, and you're like, are you going to give me any direction here? And Spirit's like, no. You're so perceptive. You can perceive your way through it. And it's just, Spirit has just like connected you like just right back in with yourself. And it was all out of love. It was all out of love. And I feel like you'll notice a glimmer, that kind of glimmer in Spirit's eye. But Spirit is saying, I'm so sorry. And let's reflect all this back to you now where like, you are actually getting the reward and you're getting it feels like delayed praise or something. And again, there's a reason for it. You had to get through that. I'm getting goosebumps everywhere, just like the chills, but in a good way. And again, I'm just connecting that with some kind of like spiritual energy that is around you. This is you. This is you. You're independent. Some of you are financially independent. And that could be because maybe like you work for yourself or you're accumulating things that are bringing you like real stability here. And I feel like this is the way that you kind of come across. Again, it might not feel like this because like, look at her face. She's just like, maybe people have a hard time reading you. And I think for some of you, I love this energy so much. It's genuinely so sweet. It's very competent, but very good natured. And it's again, kind of like my grandma where it's like, she was very stern because that's what required her in the moment. She wasn't going to, my dad used to say, kid, I love you too much to let you act like that. My grandma was very much the same way. Like you are going to get disciplined, because I love you. And you're going to have that kind of connection there. Like I'm not breaking your spirit or anything, but very hard to read in her facial expressions. And the only thing that I could see was this little glimmer in her eye, almost like she was winking at me, but she wasn't, you know? And I feel like that's you, where people kind of view you as being hard to read. And I think at first it's because you're doing all the things, like just like in a flow state, and like you're embody, like you are that same way that spirit was with you. So, but yeah, and I feel like you're accumulating things, and maybe like you're looking really good, and maybe you are moving away from something here. What is this? From people that needed to update okay, so I feel like people had their time with you here in the past, is what you're leaving behind. So people had their time with you in the past for them to update the way that they were viewing you, to take a more nuanced view on you, to understand. Again, like I'm going back to my grandma, where I'm like, I understood that she didn't mean me any harm, you know, and that she was doing her job, her duty. She was not in dereliction of duty, of being my grandmother and being somebody that is responsible for me learning how to be in the world. Like, I feel like that was you in the past. Like, there's some people here who were given time to update their viewpoint on you. And so you've had to kind of, I think, move away from this. And like, you're just reaching this place of acceptance and like rising up from the muck. And this might even be soul family energy, but they're not wanting to kind of grow with you. And this is like catalyst energy is what I'm getting. And so, and it's because, yeah, this is dharmic energy. You've got a calling here. This is a group with a calling. And I'm not even necessarily getting that you're going to know what that is, but you do feel this pull forwards. Again, I'm seeing somebody skiing behind a boat, and you're just going to feel like spirit is just pulling you like forward. And now all of a sudden you're popped up and you're not sitting in the water where you were. And there you go. You know, it's like people are like, there you go. And I grew up on a lake, and people used to do ski shows, never me, but like we had this ramp. And so like the boat rides by the ramp, and then like the skier would go up on the ramp and do like a jump. So some of you are going to do like jumps and tricks and yeah. Okay. And so the variable to pay attention for is the Ace of Pentacles. This is a new beginning, and it's solid. It is solid. And some of you, again, I feel like this little bit of timidity where you're like, you know what it is? It's like you've learned not to expect anything. This is a group that is deeply not entitled to anything. You're so not entitled to like success and things that you feel like you want from people. It's like you've separated it out. I feel like that's what spirit was wanting to do for you, separating out the praise energy. So you very much feel like I show up, I do my best, and I shouldn't expect anything from people. It shouldn't be transactional. I shouldn't enter into covert contracts, you know, with people. I'm going to do my best because it's the thing to do, you know, and whatever flows from that. And that's you kind of turning over to spirit. And I feel like you've turned over, and I'm hearing a key turnover, like in a car where maybe you're having trouble starting the car in some aspect of your life. I'm kind of getting that this is like in career or to do with stability, or like even I'm carrying like financial stability, but I'm hearing that key finally turn over. The car starting, and you're starting to take off, and you were so used to the car not starting, or maybe it would start, but you'd have to bang on a bunch of stuff, and you know, like the heat wasn't working. You're so used to like going without, I want to say, that this is going to feel really good. And also you're not going to know what to do with yourself, because I'm just seeing you like being a normal person, like your car just kind of functions, and you're like, like it feels like an unusual state for you. You're like, look at me, I'm just driving around in my car. Like in theory, this car should have functioned like this the entire time, but that kind of something not functioning, I think, was, they're showing me a car, but they're showing me like, okay, you know what a bop it is? Bop it, flick it, twist it. But I'm seeing like a baby toy that has like different ends like that, you know? It was a toy, or maybe some of you have had car trouble. But like whatever this was in your life, the metaphor of this arena of your life that you've had trouble getting off the ground, it's a baby toy. Like it's getting you to develop your brain in a certain way. And spiritually, they're really, I just saw somebody break a sternum in half. Like spirit, it feels like maybe it was really built up here. Like, do not work on praise. Do not work on transitional. Like, don't do something just to get something out of it. And so maybe some of you, something took off here or will take off in the future. And it is because you pursued something not to get a cookie. You know, like there's something here where you are pursuing things where you're like, if I do this, then I'm going to get a cookie. And that's just the wrong state of consciousness. It's ego consciousness. And then people dogpile on you, or they get like very competitive. But when you just are like, well, I don't think I'm going to get a cookie by going over here, but this is the thing that my heart is calling me to do. And I'm just going to do it regardless, because it's the right thing to do. And I'm not going to expect anything out of it or anything like that. That's the thing that's going to take off for you. or it's going to lead to something here. And it's just an entirely different state of consciousness, but they really wanted to separate that out. I don't work for praise. I don't work for transactional energy because it builds like a kind of resentment in you. It's not connected to, it's not why we do it. The Bayou, thank you so much for the super chat. Spirit is leading me up and out of this. I was focused on something too long. Yeah. So, look, and Spirit is just saying, I'm sorry. That might be literally for you. The Bayou. But yeah. Okay. So yeah, Spirit, oh my gosh, Spirit has been trying to give you this higher cup and saying like, work with us, you're ready. But this feels like it manifesting and like go down this other path, like think about it differently. Because I feel like there also, I'm hearing the word like it could have been a drag. Oh, I just heard the word drag. Okay. So it could have been a drag. You know what else I learned? That the word drag, you know, like doing drag from like a drag queen, it comes from the men who used to work in the theater because women used to not be allowed to work in the theater. So when they would have to play a female role, they would wear the dresses and the dress would drag on the floor. Isn't that crazy? So I feel like for some of you could have been felt like you were dressed up in drag. And you might think an entire arena of life operates like that. Oh, I'm just dressed up in drag. My dress is dragging on the floor, holding me back, catching on all these nails. And I have to dress up and I have to put on the makeup and stuff. But I don't, somebody else maybe should do this job, but they're being held back or like whatever. And so I feel like Spirit is trying to show you that it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to put on like a costume or anything like that. Or maybe some of you are drawn to doing drag and you've not wanted to do that. Anything else? Spirit is saying that, yeah, I'm hearing diamond mind. Like maybe some of you were very hard-headed about this like in the past, but I feel like Spirit's made your mind like a diamond kind of energy. And the third eye as well has that energy. For some of you, this is like a couple as well. Like maybe you're going to get into a couple, or if you're already in a couple, I feel like, again, this feels powerful to me, actually. I don't always like this energy, but like the snake energy is feeling powerful and like transformative and healing. I'm feeling like this snake ate a lower level snake. You know, this is almost like Kundalini energy. Like it's risen, you know, he has risen kind of a thing. Like, yeah. And there's like just a lot of strength energy here. I think some people might even think that you strategized like in the darkness, but this could be this group that was given time to update their viewpoint on you. And I feel like they're grieving now. Some of you are meeting somebody this year. This feels like you get a car and you get a car. That's what this kind of feels like. But, you're going to move forward like very, very quickly here. And it could be that you meet somebody and this person might be from an entirely different like sphere than you and you guys are going to work together. So this could be like one of you is very right-brained and the other one's very left-brained. So, and you guys like work together to bring some kind of dream to fruition. But this isn't like one person is leading and dragging the other person behind them. Like, come on, like, you know, this stubborn donkey. It's like, no, both of you have ideas and they fit together seamlessly. Both of you are capable of taking the lead and motivating the other one. And like moving forward. And it could be like, again, very opposite like skill sets where one of you is very tech savvy. The other one is like very artistic, you know, but this person's like, I'm going to build you a website. You're not going to kick me in the ass to build you a website. I'm going to build you a website. And then like, it's just done the next day. Like somebody here is very capable of motivating themselves and moving with you and like really taking off. But Spirit is like, yeah, take this cup. So for some of you, Spirit is saying like, this is an option for you. I just heard in 2026, this is an option for you in 2026, like to move forward, but it's like being in the flow of something here. Because I feel like this group has felt very burdened or like burdened by responsibilities because there's something here that's like Spirit is like waking you up to. But it feels like you already have really done the work behind the scenes here. And the truth is that you're ready and that you're very skillful. The truth is that you're ready and that you're very skillful. Some of you are being encouraged to do something on your own. And the hand of God will be with you. Like is encouraging this and is with you in regards of doing, and it's this fresh energy, this like fresh rebirth energy. So I don't think that there's anything else. I'm just going to ask, is there anything more that wants to come through? But I feel like, yeah, you're popping up, like you're raising up from some kind of level of consciousness here. And finally, like saying no more, like you're leaving a very painful cycle or something here in the past, but you're just, and it was a cycle where you were very split or where people were very split on you. But for all the wrong reasons, you know, they were split on you because there might've been a lot of gossip or anything else. This is leading somewhere stable. The 10 of Pentacles just came out. Like the truth. Yeah, and I feel like somebody from your past or people from your past, maybe somebody wants to apologize, but they might hear something about you. Yeah, transforming into, again, this Queen of Pentacles. And I don't know why that's relevant here because I don't think that you're really focused on that. It could even be that they realize that you're married. Some of you might get married because this looks to me like a couple, but like, or somebody, I feel like, okay, so if you meet somebody, it could be that somebody, maybe it's not even somebody from your past. It could be that somebody's telling their friend about you, or something that you're doing. And then you get introduced with this person. And then that's like a couple, like you guys are going to be together. So, okay. Yeah, it's like a spreading the word kind of energy where I feel like that worked against you in the past. This is working for you now. So yeah, that's what I have for you guys, pile number 2. This was great. This was really, really good energy. Okay, so I am... Oh my gosh, Virginia just said Kundalini is transforming when you figure out what it is. That's what it is. Yeah, that's so true. Okay, so I'm putting this up here in case you're just joining us. We just finished pile number 2, which is the warrior, and we're getting ready to move on to pile number 3, which is the mother. My mother. I'm just going to take a little moment here, and we'll just compassion. Compassion. Aw, thanks, Beth. Oh, wow. That's cool, Melanie. Melanin Wiles. That's really cool about the PhD thing. Saturn is giving us the sweets now, yeah. And Saturn, keep in mind, gives the best gifts. Once you've actually like worked through stuff here. Okay, should I put more lipstick on? I will. Put some lipstick on this pig. Luna's not on the vent anymore. Mama's in the house. Say hey. You're so onto it. It's scary. Oh, I'm glad. Rough. This transition was rough for me. Now it's all good. Going through it was terrifying at times. Yes. I think it's kind of easy to get addicted. Once you realize what transformation energy is and like shadow work, weirdly, like you can get addicted to the pain, I think, or like to that transformation because you know like that's where power comes from and that's where the actual change comes from, kind of a thing. We'll happily cast pearls at you. Thank you, Nor. Okay, so I mean, I think I'm just going to jump right in here to pile number 3. The mother energy. I keep saying it weird. Mother. That's reminding me of something. Maybe it'll come out in the reading, but it is reminding me of something. Okay. We'll use this deck. Okay. So, or maybe, yeah. Okay. I saw another deck that I kind of wanted to use. So, okay. Spirit, for pile number 3, what is pile number 3's next chapter? What is pile number 3's next chapter looking like here? Oh, wait. Oh, I'm hearing a song. But I don't know what it is. And it keeps coming in and out. Maybe that's relevant for some of you. There's like some kind of frequency or song or... Dang. Okay, so you might be like at a separation here with somebody. That's not going to be for everybody. Let's just see. For pile number 3, Spirit, what is ahead for pile number 3? Okay. This is an interesting experience that I'm having here. Okay. Okay. Well, we do have the mother energy. Some of you like might be mothers, or maybe you're becoming a mother here. because we have, look, Santa Muerte in this deck. Saint Death, right? So there could be some kind of death energy here. She's pregnant here. This is the death card, though, like in this deck. So there could be some kind of transition that's going on. If for those of you that do have children, so you could be becoming a parent, or there could be some kind of like major transition here. And maybe there's been a reluctance to embrace this transition. It might even be like towards motherhood or like your own version of mother energy, because even if it's not like with a child, it's like taking on some kind of like mothering energy. But okay, this is so funny because it's like coming in, but it's like almost not coming in. It's like I understand the energy that's coming through, but it's not necessarily coming through where I can speak about it or like put it something here in a sentence. So it feels like you're learning something or you're accepting something, and it's helping you to make this transformation, but it feels like it's kind of coming in slowly. Also, like in pulling the cards for this pile, the pulling of the cards has been relevant in every single pile. And whereas in pile number 2, I kept saying, oh, I'm gonna pull the cards, but it just, I didn't really need to because the energy was just coming through so readily. This, I was confused in my mind. I'm like, oh, I'm going to pull cards for this. Oh, I'm going to pull cards for that. And then I just kind of started to kind of stick with my original plan and like put the cards down. And now the cards are speaking to me here in a certain kind of way. So it could be that you were planning to do something one way, but spirit has kind of come in some way. That could be somebody telling you to try to do something a different way, or spirit is just kind of coming through energetically, and then you end up maybe just because you're busy. It's not necessarily flow state, but it's just because you're busy and you kind of just like are setting certain things down, and it's like it's painting certain things up. So I'm hesitant to say this. There might be, I was seeing the 2 of Pentacles here, and it felt like maybe there was a distance here that you feel from somebody. This doesn't have to do with the mother energy. This could be something here separate, where there's some kind of like distance, or there's 2 parts of your life that are just very sealed off from one another. And there's this kind of like juggling. It doesn't actually feel like certain things are like in some kind of connection or in some kind of flow. And it might be this mother aspect to you, whether you have a child or not, and some kind of other energy. And it feels like maybe those 2 things have not like met or overlapped. And so it becomes this kind of like juggling energy. Like there's this one side of myself and then there's this other side to myself. Or again, like you are at a distance from somebody here, and that's maybe pulling on your emotions, and it's having you kind of like go up and down, and you're not entirely sure of what's going on. Well, that's because you're at the precipice of some kind of transition, but it feels like this group feels not ready. And it's because there is like emotionality around this, and that emotionality is confusing you, or it's confusing the other person. Because for some of you, it's confusing the other person, where maybe actually I'm kind of getting that. So for a lot of you, it might be confusing somebody else, where you're kind of breaking away, or you are transforming. Yes, I'm kind of getting that. You are transforming into some kind of like, big, powerful energy. And maybe this is you kind of breaking away from a parent energy. It's like a mothering energy that's kind of smothering. I just heard you can't spell smothering without mothering. But this feels like, oh, I'm mothering you, but actually I'm smothering you, and I'm smothering out your flame, and you are kind of like maybe, or this is the way the other person feels. It feels like there's a reluctance to kind of merge the 2, again, the 2 of Pentacles, to kind of merge the way maybe you're seeing yourself and the way that maybe somebody else is seeing you, and kind of like merging it together. And that's either happening in you or it's happening in somebody else. Because for some of you, I feel like this is tough, like where, somebody thinks that you're smothering them and you're not smothering them. But I think I'm hesitant to say that, because there's definitely a group here where they're fighting some kind of like transition energy. And there could be like a pointing the fingers at a couple here. This could be, it feels like somebody is really trying to get their independence or define themselves outside of like a couple. So this could be like a boss kind of situation, or it could be like parents or something. But somebody here is really, this even could be happening on a soul level, where there's like some kind of couple, and like somebody here's like really trying to pull themselves away from that. But this also could be like if you've got like a custody arrangement with somebody, and maybe somebody is married here and then somebody isn't, and they're trying to like define themselves kind of separate from this. I don't know. It feels like there's a new beginning. In order for there to be a new beginning, this new beginning here is going to be sad, and it's going to be, there's a lot of tough emotions that have to be like worked through, and somebody here has to come back from being kind of lacking in the situation. They should have been a sanctuary for some kind of transitionary period, and it seems like they were not. Maybe they wanted to play power games, or they were kind of subtly undermining or sabotaging you. Somebody here has like gotten free from this. So if this is you and you're really trying to break free from some kind of energy here that feels very like it wants to look a certain way, like it wants to seem very traditional. Like this could be your parents for some of you. They want to seem very traditional. They want to seem like, but somebody here is breaking away from that, and they are the star energy. They're healing. And I think they're providing some kind of guiding light, or that's what they're meant to do in this next phase. All of this feels very, African, thank you so much for the super chat. Happy New Year. May it be everything you hope for. Lots of love. Thank you. This group, it's like the tuning frequency, like tuning in to this energy and the way that it's kind of coming in. It feels really dense because it feels somebody here is just so clinging to control and to power. Somebody here is, whether this is you or some kind of like mothering, smothering energy. And even if it's not your mother, there might be some kind of underlying familiarity, or like something reminds you of your mom or something, where it's like there's this pulling and it's trying to maintain its own power or something here. And there's also a silence energy and like keeping certain things hidden, or like we don't speak about that kind of a thing. But it's blocking somebody's genuine transformation and where spirit is calling them. Spirit's calling this person, and they need to break away. They need to declare their independence, and that's healthy here. And that might be you, or might be somebody else. And for some of you, if you're going to have a child or something, it might be that you have to kind of put up some boundaries. And you might not have noticed these kinds of things before. It might be with your own parents. I just heard it might be with your spouse's parents. Where you're just kind of having to say, we're moving on to a different time in our lives, and we need a little bit of space around us, kind of a thing. But there is like, somebody here is kind of blocking, or trying to block and trying to bury somebody's transformation. And that transformation carries a real boon energy. It has to do with like some kind of blessing here. And that blessing might come in. It feels like maybe there's a lot of money here, or there's a big blessing that is coming in, maybe from a partner, like some kind of big soulmate partner. It feels like there's a big boon that comes in from this person, somebody here transforming and pulling away. But it feels really sticky, whatever it is that's like trying to hold on. So again, it might be you or something or someone, and it is trying to like really hold on, and it has you really up in your head here and like running around in like a maze because somebody here is really like insidious, maybe. That's not really the right word, but it's like very covert in the way that they go about. So it's very scorpionic, it's cloaked. I think it seems like it's mothering, but it's not, it's smothering. And, it's selfish. It's not, a parental energy. It's like very, I'm giving for you. I think that's what it's cloaked as. Again, whether this is like a parent or not a parent. And so it's holding on. And somebody here kind of knows I'm supposed to like break free from this. And yeah, and then look, but somebody here's behind the scenes, kind of sabotaging you from behind the scenes. So it could be that you're becoming aware of this, and you'll become aware of it from the inside out. And if this is you that's doing this, because I do think that there's a group here that maybe you are doing this, then Spirit's trying to wake you up to the fact that that's what's going on. And I'm hearing we got to start calling things what they are. We got to start calling them the right things. This isn't mothering. This is smothering. This isn't, it's coming from a nurturing place. I just heard damn good and well that there's some certain things here that you're trying to hide. It feels like there's like pictures and memories and mementos or something here, like in this group. Maybe of a King of Cups. Maybe, I don't know what that is. It might be from your own life here. But yeah, and it feels like somebody's wanting to kind of light that on fire and maybe keep somebody down. Yeah, keeping somebody, I'm almost getting like in a service position here and like carrying too much of a load. And trying to make them think that that's a wish fulfillment or something. And then like really keeping somebody bound and like, it's a betrayal. That's a betrayal. But it's under the guise of, isn't this so nice? This is a lover's energy. And we're meant to be, and like, I have the key, or trust me, or like, give over your intuition. This isn't, I don't know, but it feels really, it's not, there's a word that I'm looking for. It's not insidious, but it's like, it looks almost like this person's very good at lying. This is like somebody, they're very good at like presenting themselves like the way that they want, like they're being helpful, but they're not actually being helpful here in this situation. They're not encouraging, they're trying to cut down somebody's success. They're trying to cut down somebody's success and their ability to kind of like move forward. And they're not like taking responsibility here. So there might be an argument, because I feel like somebody here has been stuffing something down that they want to say, and it feels like sticking this sword down your throat, where it's like cutting you all up in your throat, but it might well just come out, or something here might be an accident. But I feel like this is the Mars energy really purifying in this person, which is actually a very good thing. And by the way, when Mars purifies itself, like it takes right and proper action, because somebody here has been convincing this person, not like it feels like with guilt. You know, they've been convincing this person not to speak up, or not to speak up about a certain thing. I'm hearing we don't talk about that. It's like whatever this like messed up energy is, well, we don't talk about the things that are wrong with me. We talk about the things that are wrong with you. You know, but that's like a part of the picture. It's a necessary part of the picture. It's like you can't make any progress in your relationship because it takes two to tango. And so you can't make any progress in your relationship if you can't talk about like the things that are off limits or off topic. And somehow this person keeps those things like hidden, or I think there's something here that they're hiding actually. And it feels like 6 of Cups energy, because I'm seeing like Polaroids and stuff. And if you had access to that, you would piece together something much different than what this person's saying. And it's like kind of bits and bobs. And this person is kind of saying, oh, these are just bits and bobs, but actually they string together some kind of story. And I feel like this person was trying to get you to blame a different person, or like it's like blame the other parent, especially if they're like remarried or something here, in order to maintain control over you. And this is very unpleasant to look at. And so I understand why this person doesn't want to look at that in themselves, but also they're ruining their relationship with you is what I'm hearing. They are fully, Spirit is saying they're fully responsible. Spirit is also saying if you've prayed to enlighten this person or to awaken this person, or like just if you've been in like a dire state, because I feel like there'd be a lot of confusion here, because you don't know I feel like you're getting conflicting messages. It's reminding me of being in middle management, where one person is like, they're walking all over you, and then the other person is like, you're you're being too hard, and you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. So I'm just gonna it feels like that, where you're like, well, which is it? And it's because somebody here is not giving you advice from a neutral place. They're doing it. And I actually think this is a parent that's doing this, and this would be extremely karmic, because parental love is a kind of platonic love, but it's an even more specific kind of platonic love. And parental love, you shouldn't have a child to receive. Like, you have a kid when your cup runneth over, and you can help that person to be independent in the world and to like be their own person and stuff. That's not what's going on here with this parent. And so I think they're confusing love with control. And they're scared though. Their fear of abandonment. I'm hearing fear of abandonment, but they're trying to crush your wings in the process. And I want to cry. Like, not like in the rest of me, but like, I just feel like there's such a tearful energy here. And it feels like that's maybe a shared energy here, but this person's not healthy. They're not healthy. And I feel like whoever's put up with this has had to build an incredible amount of inner strength. And that's, I think, a legitimate part of their journey. They've had to build like an incredible amount of inner strength. And I think they want love, like they want to find love. They want to like but it's like, I think this energy around them has a way of like smothering that out. Like, cause they just only want this, they want to hold on to this person, and they don't want them to trust anybody but them. And, it could even be that this person, there's somebody else here, whether it's another parent or whether it's somebody that they want to be in a relationship with. Okay, that's it. Because I was like, who is this couple? Because not for all of you is it like, but it might be somebody that they want to be in a relationship with, that they genuinely love. And whoever that parent is or something, they're pointing the fingers at them saying, oh, this is a materialistic couple that you are. You just want to be with that person, or they just want to be with you for money reasons or superficial reasons. But actually it's a love energy. And this person is just trying to, sabotage. They're just trying to sabotage this. And it's been going on for a while. There's some kind of functioning dysfunction here. Again, I feel like I want to cry. because I feel like there's a lot of love for this parent, and you're like, why can't you just be healthy? Why can't you just be normal? This is not a way to be. And this, by the way, I feel like you would know this, or you will come to know this from the inside out. Absolutely not equal. This is not like, well, we need to sit and talk about this. You're the parent. You're supposed to be 100% giving to me. There's a period at the end of that sentence. And they act like they're giving, but they give poison. And I feel like this is a karmic contract from a previous relationship. And they might, because that made me think of Ashleisha energy. And the part of the poison in Ashleisha energy can be like, it used to be back in the day that a lot of makeups and things were like laced with poison. So I feel like it could be this person is maybe wanting to make you over in some kind of way, or maybe they want to make over. There could be something here like that, like very image focused or image conscious, but it's poison. Like whatever they're trying to do, it feels like it's poison. They feel like it's like very empowering, but somebody here is just very sabotaging. This is somebody who would take, the reason they're so convincing, they would take psycho-spiritual, emotional concepts and then absolutely warp and misuse them. And this is extremely karmic. Spirit is not happy with this person because what they do, parents mimic spirit, like to their children. They're supposed to. They mimic God. And actually, your authority figures, how healthy they are, really plays a big role about how you view the universe. You know, how you view God. And I feel like Spirit is not happy with this person. Because Spirit is saying, you want me to love you unconditionally, and you trust that I'm giving you the right, but what are you doing to your kid? There might be a bit of a you get what you give kind of a situation here going on. Spirit is not happy with this person. I just keep wanting to say that. Spirit has told this person no on multiple occasions, and they are so stubborn. This is a very stubborn energy, and it does come from a place of fear. They, oh my God, it's like they can't control themselves. I mean, they can, but they're just like, they won't even stop. This is like compulsive. There's some kind of compulsive need to keep meddling, And I feel like they know it's bad and they know it's wrong. And if this person just showed it for what it was, because I feel like there's some kind of like smothering energy with the mothering energy, then people would call this person out, and everyone, I'm talking everybody in the community. I'm seeing the whole community grab this person by their hands and stuff and like kind of pin them against the wall to get them off of this other soul that they're just like kind of clinging to. But instead this person is a liar basically, and they kind of like finesse, and more people are onto this person than not. It's just they don't want to like overstep, because I feel like this is like a parent child. But as the child, this kid is like become an adult, I just feel like if the truth came out about this person, I'm literally seeing there's not a one person in the room that's not involved in like just pinning this person to the wall, like get off of them, you know, because this person, I just heard a quote, those who cannot hear must feel. So it's like, there's no getting through to this person with words and like with education. So you know how like those of us who have our heads in the clouds and we see life through rose-colored glasses, and if you just believe in people enough and all they need is a little bit of education and they're going to fix themselves, this is the person who flips that on its head. This person doesn't need more education because they're not pure with that education when they get it. They don't apply it in order to be better as people, to not hurt the people that they love. They just apply it towards their own manipulation, and they keep feeding. They're feeding a very dark, there's a very dark negative force here. And more people see that. They just don't call this person out on it. I think there's certain people who have a certain kind of finesse that do, I'm kind of specifically getting like therapists and stuff. They do sort of see that the problem's deeper with this person, but they also know that they can't call this person out because they're so wrapped in their delusion, or they'll vilify them or something like that. So it's kind of just hard to get like around this person. But the answer is absolutely not more education, because the more you educate this person, the more they warp it into some kind of like manipulation. The answer is those who cannot hear, meaning those who cannot drink the words from like the teacher's mouth, must feel. And I feel like in order to learn, and I feel like this person needs to feel some kind of like, I just heard commitment. They need to feel like somebody's commitment to themselves, or like somebody moving on. And it feels like moving on to be in a relationship here, that this person's like really possessive. Okay, so actually I just started to, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So I just started to like, absent-mindedly. This is not flow state, what I'm experiencing here. It's just absent-minded. It's just like very, and I just started to kind of like throw all these like cards here, and it was like messing up my spread that I had here. And I'm not even done looking at my spread. So I feel like this person's like, oh, hey, thanks for nothing, Jess. You're supposed to have my side, Jess. Thanks for nothing, Jess. Like, you're supposed to be part of my control tactics on this person, Jess. You're supposed to be another tentacle I can wrap around this person, Jess. Like, it just feels very much like that. Like, this person gets like haughty and like mad and pissed off. Like, when you don't want to be used for their like weird machinations or anything. So it's flipping though. I've just heard it's flipping in 2026. I feel like it's flipping where this person's kind of getting in their head and now they're running their maze. It's like a maze that leads to nowhere. Because they're like, I don't know how to, I don't know how to fix this. And it's because you cannot solve a problem on the same level of consciousness which created it. And so I feel like somebody here is like leaving this behind. And I think that's you for a lot of you. And again, it feels like so much because I'm just seeing like if you were inside a big bubble that was like very viscous, and I'm just seeing you running to pierce the side of the bubble, but it's like, this is not like a helium balloon kind of popping. This is like made of like some kind of watery viscous. And it's just, and I'm just seeing you like, just pushing it and it's thick and it's gelatin and you're just like, whoa. And then, like from the Matrix, and you're like popping out and then you're like, oh God, I took the pill. Where are we? I'm plugged into a machine. Like where you're kind of realizing, and it is that kind of mother energy, isn't it? Because they live in these pods. They get like born. I'm so sorry if this is like visceral or whatever, but it just seems like there's a program that's like been mothering this person. Like all around them, there's just this like kind of program. And so they have been determined and been committed to like busting up out of it. And again, like I feel like this is like a matrix. So like in whatever the matrix was, because this person I'm seeing them like coat a web around this person and like code, like they're trying to code certain things. They're building the world that this person lives in. So this is an absolute disgrace of parenthood is what's going. I'm actually getting pissed now because they misused their role as a parent where they had a being that was so small and didn't know a word. Little baby Jesus, 8 pounds, 6 ounces, didn't even know a word yet, and they are like teaching them their ABCs, but they're intentionally teaching them wrong things to kind of sabotage them, to keep them, I'm hearing soft and docile and to try to hold them. It's a web. Ugh. And that spider energy, that poison, and ugh. But I'm also getting like Arachne kind of energy of like, there's a kind of wisdom because Arachne was kind of associated with wisdom, but she also goes to challenge Athena, who's actual wisdom. And Athena, because I kind of feel like that's you, or that's whoever they're trying to, or they have that potential. It's meant to awaken that. Or Athena is assisting like this person where it's like, know the difference between this manufactured web of wisdom that this person is trying to, and they're doing that so that when they say, it's like they can, the laws that they tell you exist, and I mean like the laws of gravity, like the, what do you call them? Like laws of thermodynamics, the natural laws, not like man-made laws. The way that they tell you the world works, they know that it's important for you to look out and see like that it's true, like what they told you is true. Oh, I just heard mother knows best from Rapunzel. They want to keep somebody here in a tower. And she wants, like, for Rapunzel, she loves that Flynn Rider is the one to come up and not some sane normal person, because it's like, oh, see how you had to hit him in the head with that frying pan? I told you that the world is like that. And I hate that you had to learn that on your own. And then mom becomes the good person. It's like, and then it's like, I vow to never leave this tower because it's too scary, And then you never find your sovereignty because she's the princess of the realm. You never find your own sovereignty. And I feel like that's what's going on here. But there's a faux wisdom, and it's all been built like coded into a program like the Matrix. But when the guy, and I can't, Neo, he starts to wake up from the program and it starts attacking him. That's what it feels like here. And I don't know if there's a spiritual energetic thing because there's like a tarry kind of energy, which I always see. It's like bubbling tar, that's just like sticky and like it's web-like, and poisonous. But, and also like the spider energy, I'm kind of getting like, I used to love Charlotte's Web. And Charlotte's the spider from Charlotte's Web. And she was so mothering and she gave him like little feedbacks. I'm kind of getting that energy like from this person because I'm seeing them kind of behind this person like whispering. It's almost like Wormwood in Lord of the Rings, who was whispering in the king's ear, but like the king is like decrepit, like at a certain point. But that's not what I'm seeing here. This just looks like a spider that's like a mother energy, like towards a child that's whispering, and it sounds like Charlotte from Charlotte's Web, like the wisdom and the wise but it's not. It's all very self-serving, and they've really gone out of their way here to abuse this child in a way that only a parent could. And I want to say only a mothering kind of parent, even if this is a father, you know, it's that nurturing. It's building this nest of like nurturance. And again, I keep getting distracted from this spread. Because I've noticed the justice card here and I keep wanting to figure out where the justice card is in the spread because the justice card is here. And I just want you to know that it's about balance. But the balance in this situation isn't Libran. It's not like equality, or maybe it's supposed to be, because maybe for some of you, this is like an adult child and this child is supposed to become more and more a peer over time. And they are to come, like if you have actually been a parent that has given very good advice, the child will just know that, you know, and every time I follow my parents' advice, like that's always the thing that helps me. But I feel like I can go out on my own, you know, and they would want me to go out on my own and try certain things. But if something really stumps me, I think to ask my parent, and they're trying to manufacture that, but in a way that is ultimately not helpful. But the justice card is coming in. So, and I feel like that's maybe this energy getting flipped where now they're in their head and this kind of maze that leads to nowhere, or whoever this is in your life. Because again, now they've gotten themselves into hot water and they never thought that they would be found out is what I'm getting, but they don't know how to solve this problem because they can't solve this problem on the same level of consciousness that created it. And that is being this manipulative undercover behind the scenes, because now they've built so much mistrust in this relationship, they don't know how to undo it. And now they've got to be a person who knows how to build trust. And the trust that this person has built in the past has always been rotten. And it's always been self-serving and it's always been fake. And again, I feel like it's not like this person doesn't love whoever they're doing it to. It's just they love themselves more. And they will, to the point where they will actively like harm, abuse, and undermine this person's chances. Which is not what a parent is supposed to do. And even if this isn't a parent, like I'm getting that because it's I feel like this is spirit, because again, I'm looking up here at Ramana, who I very much like view as a father figure. And he's like, how would you like it if I treated you like that? Would there be any trust between the two of us? But this person's trying to masquerade. Like, again, parents are kind of a stand-in for spirit, or like spirit guides. And instead, so now maybe this person doesn't trust authority. And it might be a genuine part of this soul's journey where it's like, I can only rely on myself, and they're just going to get beefy and strong. But none of us can only rely on ourselves. So I feel like this soul's gonna have to get really, really strong for no fucking reason, because we're a social species. So I'm just kind of pissed like at this person actually. The Bayou, thank you again for another super chat. The reading that keeps on giving. Yes. And by the way, like I have like the part of my, oh my gosh, this is so prescient. The part of I have my iPad right here, and Alex has this like little deck thing. So I push like the different buttons, and that's like what causes like these different things to come up, and it can't get connected. Like just that part of it is like struggling to get connected. And it's actually been very distracting like this entire time. But I feel like, again, that's like this person's energy where they are, oh my gosh. And then look, I spoke about it, and then actual help came in, and it wasn't even that hard to fix. And I feel like that's a message again. I wasn't even trying to like alert him, but I feel like it's part of the message, because it's like, it was so distracting, like the deck where I have choices here where I can like push these different buttons. That's what this, that's what this person doesn't want you to know, or they don't want anything to change here. Maybe you know that you can push these certain buttons, but they'll give you the guilt trip if you do, you know, like, oh, well, oh, you could go. No, don't think about me. Okay, I have no idea how this is supposed to go, because I've destroyed this multiple times. And I think like if you start to get too much, so in conversation with this person too, I feel like if you start to get too much on the right track, you know, and you start to find your voice, this person will be like, oh, okay. Like they'll find a way to end the conversation and just scramble things up at the end. They'll tie it off with some kind of weird, ridiculous shit at the end, where they'll be like, okay, well, I guess like I've overstepped my boundaries. I understand. It's so manipulative, because it's like, they demonstrate that they're connected and that they understand, like that they're plugged into you. And so it's like they're mimicking that they're respecting your boundaries, but it's like the guilt trip at the end, you know, like, oh, well, I guess I know when I'm not wanted. And it's like, it's not that you're not wanted. You're just traipsing all over my boundaries, and you shouldn't do that. And you shouldn't do that in a neutral way. And, like when I tell you that, like, it shouldn't be, why are you responding this way? It's emotionally manipulative and overbearing. Okay, so this was like in the middle somehow. I don't even remember what was going on with this. I'm so frustrated with this person because they're trying to sabotage me in my reading. But there was a spread here, and it did go a certain way. And I know that this was the first one. That was the second one. That was the third one. That was the fourth. Where did this come in? Well, we have the Star and Justice. I feel like somebody here is going to get away. They're going to get distance. So maybe this is the next chapter. Somebody here is going to get away. So if this is you, sorry if I've been harsh on you, but I feel like, frankly, you've been very, very harsh to somebody else, but it's just, you've done it behind the scenes in a way that nobody can call you out directly. And you know that. If this is you, you know that you're doing that. There's a lot of strategy here, which means there's consciousness here. I feel like there might be a lot of, well, I didn't realize that I was having this effect. And I actually think this has a dire effect on your child or like whoever this is. And maybe you legit don't know the long-standing repercussions and that just how deep this kind of cuts, but you also didn't want to know. Like whoever this is, they don't want to know because they want to continue to do this. And the moment that you start like kind of trying to highlight certain things here, this person shuts it down. Even within themselves. And then it's compulsive. They compulsively do this. And there's just no space in there. It's like an animal that's just like digging. I'm seeing an animal like dig. For those of you who have like a cat or a dog, you know, like when you close the bathroom door for some privacy and they just decide that you don't get that at that moment. And they just keep pitching on the door. And then they like, when the door is not moving, then they try to like dig under it. Like that's what I'm getting. It's like the digging gets them nowhere, but they just keep like, hey, like, hey, excuse me, I can't see you, you know? And then 9 times out of 10, if you open the door and they can just look at you, then they're like, okay, thanks. Like they'll just take one little look and they're like, all right, I just had to make sure everything was cool in here. So I feel like this person doesn't even want you to have any privacy. They just don't even like when you do things that they can't see or are not aware of. And that's going to be a problem as you grow because, I mean, teen years would probably suck with this person. But anyways, I think I'm going to leave that there because I think this is a group that has somehow prayed. And it could be like you actually prayed like, please, my mother or whoever this is, like very overbearing, please, Lord, help me. But it also might have been like you were just like emotional. And you're like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong and I don't know how to get out of this. I'm trying to honor thy mother and father. But I feels like somewhere along the line, honor thy mother and father was like, this is reminding me in like White Christmas. It's like a very, very old Christmas movie, but it starts off, Bing Crosby is in it and they are fighting in the war. And he's like putting on like a little show like in the war to uplift people's spirits and stuff. But then they start getting attacked and they all start running and this building is getting ready to like fall on him. And then this other guy, Davis, he's like, pulls him and saves his life. And then they go like, he feels like he owes him his life. So then that's how they do their little minstrel show combo, the two of them. And so they always travel around, even though Wallace is the guy that he saved, Bing Crosby's character. He's like, no, I only work by myself. And then Bing Crosby keeps making little digs at this guy the entire time. And every time somebody's around him, he's like, you know, if anybody tries to save your life, just don't. Just spit in his eye. Don't let him. Because he's like, you need to leave the rest of my life alone. So this person feels like because they birthed you, that they own you. And that it's not a service-oriented job. And there's an irony there because this person tries to keep you in a service-oriented mindset that you just should forever be of service to them. But they just think that because they birth you that they own your entire life. And I don't think that's the way that they were treated, or maybe some of them weren't treated this way. There's a fear of abandonment here. But this is a person this kind of reminds me of like anxious attachment styles. And maybe this person does have that. But anxious attachment styles, they don't typically, growing up, they don't have as bad as the avoidance do. And so they are very emotional. All they want is closeness. And they think that they're securely attached because all they want is closeness. And they think that there's nothing wrong with that. And they a lot of times get very self-absorbed and they don't recognize when other people have a need that's outside of them, like that they have a need for space or something. And so anytime anybody has a need, and this is where like an avoidant, this will really like kind of, you can see how maybe that's what's happening here is this, you've got an anxious parent that's like creating an avoidance in their child because they're just not allowed any like healthy space. But whenever the anxious attachment, which anxious attachers need to be constantly reminded that they're not securely attached, so they don't do things the right way, because you see a lot on the internet now just equating avoidance with narcissism. And that's because with the anxious attachment style, anytime somebody's got a need for space or anything else outside of them, they think you're being a narcissist. You are having too many needs. You're not considering me at all. That's the difference between an anxious attacher and a healthy attached person, somebody who's securely attached. They'll say, oh yeah, you've got a need. And an avoidant is not healthy attached either, right? They're not securely attached. But that's what I'm getting here is like, there's something here where this person is, their perspective is so off about the person that they're trying to dominate, really. And they can't see themselves as dominating. They instead are like, well, that person they're totally not paying attention to my emotions. And it's like, your emotions are the problem, okay? Like, you don't have a right to demand that from somebody else. And you need to heal that. instead of pushing it on and then declaring that person's being narcissistic. And it might even be that there's a couple here, like, oh, well, you want to go be with that couple and you guys are narcissistic together because they're taking you away from me and you guys don't care about my feelings. And it's not about that at all. And the fact that you would put your child in a position like that screams fucked up. But like, anyways, it's something here like that where this person's perspective is entirely skewed, but they think that they're healthy and secure, and that, but really it's a self-absorption where like their perspective is the only thing that really matters. So mental health is real. Yeah. And I feel like this person, regardless of what their attachment style is, I can't imagine it would be healthy with somebody like this for a parent. But I think they might even say things like, well, I just need a little bit of space right now. Like, we're not like, our relationship isn't on the rocks or anything, but I need my space right now. But they might not even mean that, because I think the relationship is on the rocks. Alchemical Drip, thank you so much for the super chat. Honor thy mother and father by not repeating their mistakes. If you honor both their lives and your ancestors by living your own life and learning from theirs, not being subservient. Yeah, this came out in one of the readings too, where I was kind of noting, I live like in the forest kind of, and we see like foxes and deer and stuff, and they raise their kids to be independent. Like, can you imagine if a fox didn't leave its mom and was like following its mom around everywhere? Like, that's not correct. Like, and this little fox mom would like, in the middle of a snowstorm, was like running them back and forth, like kind of doing drills between like the two little holes there. And the stronger ones, she would like leave while she was helping the older ones, you know? And it's like, you have to learn how to do this, you know, on your own. And they don't want their kids to be attached to them because they're going to not fare well. And I'm hearing it, something squealing. Okay. So, that was the end of pile number 3. That's your next chapter is like breaking free of that cycle, I feel like. Or the cycle is panning out and it's giving justice. Like, you're going to have to contend with that. Because no matter how much that person tries to control the smothering energy in pile number 3 that really needs to start using the correct words for what they're actually doing, it's not going to work. It's not going to work, and they're just going to make it worse. But they have to pop up to a different level of consciousness, and their focus has to be on rebuilding trust. And they need to finally take a healthy parental role of, I'm going to rebuild trust. And every time, like, it's not enough, like it could be 50 years of this person building trust and they still wouldn't peter out. And that would be normal in this situation, because this has been hefty, whatever's going on here. But so they need to be in it for the long haul, and they need to be in a giving mindset, and a giving mindset only. It's not like, well, I've been showing up here, because I feel like that's the way this person is, very transactional. Well, I've been showing up for 20 years, and it's like, you can show up for another 20 more because you broke me. Like, you're trying to get me back to neutral, and then you want things to be like even better than neutral. This person's kind of, they're kind of delusional. I also feel like this person gives advice or they try to give advice, and it's like there'll be kernels of truth in it, because it's like they're mimicking psychosocial speak or spiritual speak. They just misapply it. And this is like kind of like, my guide is not happy with this person. Like, they're saying that's almost the worst thing that you can do, because how are we supposed to heal that person? Then they're just this is the kind of person, they're kind of creating a situation where it's like, oh, that's more of that psycho speak. But an actual psychologist who knows what they're doing, or like somebody who's actually emotionally intelligent who can kind of spot it, they're going to use those words appropriately. And but it's keeping this person kind of away from that. So I think that that's part of the justice energy, is like, this person might not even be able to seek out the help that would speed up their healing process from this person, because they wanted this person to be kind of stuck to them. Disgusting. Truly, truly ill. They might make out that the other person is ill, and they are, but it seems like they're maybe avoidant because this person's atrocious to have to deal with. Confronted my dad about his control and emotional immaturity and refused to spend Christmas with him. I told him repair looked like an apology therapy and changed behavior. He was shocked. Wow. Yeah. Ideally, your parents owe you care and home and education until you can provide these things for yourself, but you never owe your parents anything just because they decided to bring you into this life. Amen. A freaking men.
I didn't ask him before.
I know that's right. God's probably up there like, well... I'm sure he was shocked. Yeah. Okay. How to confront my mother about her own emotional immaturity and codependency immediately. Yeah. You get therapy. Everybody gets therapy. Yes. Oh my gosh. That's so funny. Have you guys heard about filial laws? Because Kirsty just said, if anything, we should sue them for having us without our consent. But have you heard about filial laws? Because like in certain states in America, that there's like certain like you legally have to take care of your parents, and people have been talking about this more and more because a lot of people are estranged from their parents, and a lot of them are like, can you imagine like, yeah, like if there was a legal process where like you were made to, well, gross. But a lot of people are talking about changing those laws. Just making you aware if you didn't know. Okay, so. Oh, Lord, no. Yeah. Okay, so let us move on to our book, Codependent No More by Melody Beattie, the goat, who lived a human life and kind of mapped certain things out. And it's so lovely when people do that. So, all right. I'm just going to jump right into this. I've just been jumping into things today. Maybe that's what's happening for me in 2026. Okay, so we are on chapter 6, and it says, don't be blown about by every wind. Easy does it. 12-step program slogan. I am a reactionary. That thought burned deeply into my consciousness one day while I was sitting in my office. I had heard people discussing reacting, but until that moment, I hadn't understood how much I reacted. I reacted to other people's feelings, behaviors, problems, and thoughts. I reacted to what they might be feeling, thinking, or doing. I reacted to my own feelings, my own thoughts, my own problems. My strong point seemed to be reacting to crises. I thought almost everything was a crisis. I overreacted. Hidden panic, which bordered on hysteria, brewed in me so much of the time. I sometimes underreacted. If the problem I faced was significant, I often used the tools of denial. I reacted to almost everything that came into my awareness and environment. My entire life had been a reaction to other people's lives, desires, problems, faults, successes, and personalities. That reminds me of that Kelly Clarkson song where she says, like, I've spent all of my time learning how to react. Even my low self-worth, which I dragged around like a bag of stinking garbage, had been a reaction. I was like a puppet with strings hanging out, inviting and allowing anyone or anything to yank them. Most codependents are reactionaries. We react with anger, guilt, shame, self-hate, worry, hurt, controlling gestures, caretaking acts, depression, desperation, and fury. We react with fear and anxiety. Some of us react so much it's painful to be around and torturous to be in large groups. It's normal to react and respond to our environment. Reacting is a part of life. It's part of interacting, and it's part of being alive and human. But those of us who struggle with codependency allow ourselves to get so upset and so distracted. Little things, big things. Anything has the power to throw us off track. And the way we respond after we react is frequently not in our best interests. We may have started reacting and responding urgently and compulsively in patterns that hurt us. Just feeling urgent and compulsive is enough to hurt us. We keep ourselves in a crisis state, adrenaline flowing and muscles tensed, ready to react to emergencies that usually aren't emergencies. Someone does something, so we must do something back. Someone says something, so we must say something back. Someone feels a certain way, so we must feel a certain way. We jumped into the first feeling that came our way and then wallowed in it. We think the first thought that comes into our heads and then elaborate on it. We say the first words on our tongues and sometimes regret them. We do the first thing that comes to mind, usually without thinking about it. That's the problem. We are reacting without thinking, without honest thought about what we need to do and how we want to handle any given situation. Our emotions and behaviors are being controlled, triggered by everyone and everything in our environments. We are indirectly allowing others to tell us what to do. That means we have lost control. We are being controlled. When we react, we forfeit our personal power to think, feel, and behave in our best interests. We give up agency over ourselves. We allow others to determine when we will be happy, when we will be peaceful, when we will be upset, and what we will say, think, do, and feel. We forfeit our right to feel peaceful. We forfeit our right to feel peaceful at the whim of our environments. We are like a wisp of paper in a thunderstorm, blown about by every wind. Here's an example of a way I tended to react, one of many, when I was younger. My office was in my home, and I had 2 young children. Sometimes when I was working, they'd start to go wild in other rooms, fighting, running, messing up the house, and eating and drinking everything in the kitchen. My first instinctive reaction was to screech at them, "Stop that!" My second reaction was to holler some more. It came naturally. Reacting that way appeared to be easier than leaving my office, working my way through the laundry room, and walking upstairs. It also appeared to be easier than taking the time to think about how I wanted to handle the situation. But bellowing and screaming didn't work. It wasn't easier. It made my throat sore and taught the children how to make me sit in my office and screech. Reacting usually doesn't work. We react too quickly with too much intensity and urgency. Rarely can we do our best at anything in this state of mind. The irony is that we are not called upon or required to do things in this state of mind. There is little in our lives we need to do that we cannot do better if we respond from a place of peace. Few situations, no matter how greatly they appear to demand it, can be bettered by us going berserk. Why do we do it then? We react because we're anxious and afraid of what has happened, what is happening, and what might happen. It reminds me of Galadriel in Lord of the Rings. Things that are, things that were, and things that have not yet come to pass. Many of us react as though everything is a crisis because we have lived with so many crises for so long that our reactions have become habitual. We react because we think things shouldn't be happening the way they are. We react because we don't feel good about ourselves. We react because most people react. We react because we think we have to react. We don't have to. We don't have to be so afraid of people. They are just people like us. We don't have to forfeit our peace. It doesn't help. We have the same facts and resources available to us when we're peaceful that are available to us when we are frantic and chaotic. We actually have more resources available because our minds and emotions are free to perform at peak level. We don't have to forfeit our power to pause, think, and feel in any situation. That's also not required of us. We don't have to take things so seriously, ourselves, events, and other people. We blow things out of proportion, our feelings, thoughts, actions, and mistakes. We do the same thing with other people's feelings, thoughts, and actions. We tell ourselves things are awful, terrible, a tragedy, and the end of the world. Many things might be sad, too bad, and unpleasant, but the only thing that is the end of the world is the end of the world. Feelings are important, but they are only feelings. Thoughts are important, but they are only thoughts. And we all think a lot of different things. Plus, our thoughts are subject to change. What we say and do is important, what others say and do is important, but the world doesn't hinge on any particular speech or action. And if it is particularly important that something is done or said, don't worry, it'll happen. Lighten up, give yourself and others room to move, talk, be who they are, to be human. Give life a chance to happen. Give yourself an opportunity to enjoy it. We don't have to take other people's behaviors as reflections of our self-worth. We don't have to be embarrassed if someone we love chooses to behave inappropriately. It's normal to react that way, but we don't have to continue to feel embarrassed and less than if someone else continues to behave inappropriately. People are responsible for their own behaviors. If another person behaves inappropriately, let them feel embarrassed. If you have done nothing to feel embarrassed about, don't feel embarrassed. I know this is a tough concept, but it can be mastered. We don't have to take rejection as a reflection of our self-worth. If somebody who is important, or even someone unimportant to you, rejects you or your choices, you are still real, and you are still worth every bit as much as you would be if you had not been rejected. Feel any feelings that go with rejection. Talk about your thoughts, but don't forfeit your self-esteem to another's disapproval or rejection of who you are or what you've done. Even if the most important person in your world rejects you, you are still real and you are still okay. If you've done something inappropriate or you need to solve a problem or change a behavior, then take appropriate steps to take care of yourself. But don't reject yourself and don't give so much power to other people's rejection of you. It isn't necessary. We don't have to take things so personally. We take things to heart that we have no business taking to heart. For instance, saying, if you loved me, you wouldn't drink to someone struggling with alcoholism makes as much sense as saying, if you loved me, you wouldn't cough to someone with pneumonia. A person with pneumonia will cough until they get appropriate treatment for their illness. A person struggling with alcoholism will drink until they get the same. When people with compulsive disorders do whatever it is they are compelled to do, they're not saying they don't love you. They're saying they don't love themselves. We don't have to take little things personally either. If someone has a bad day or gets angry, don't assume it has something to do with you. It may or may not have anything to do with you. If it does, you'll find out. Usually things have far less to do with us than we think. Someone else's bad mood, sharp tongue, bad day, negative thoughts, social media rant, or active substance abuse does not have to run or ruin our lives, days, or even an hour of our time. If people don't want to be with us or act healthy, it's not a reflection on our self-worth. It reflects their present circumstances. By practicing detachment, we can lessen our destructive reactions to the world around us. Separate yourself from things. Leave things alone, and let people be who they are. Who are you to say that the interruption, mood, word, comment, bad day, or problem is not important and is not an important and necessary part of life? Who are you to say that this problem will ultimately be beneficial to you or someone else? We don't have to react. We have options. That's another joy of recovering from codependency. And each time we exercise our right to choose how we want to act, think, feel, and behave, we feel better and stronger. But you might protest, why shouldn't I react? Why shouldn't I say something back? Why shouldn't I be upset? They deserve to bear the brunt of my turmoil. That may be, but you don't. We're talking about your lack of peace here, your lack of serenity, your wasted moments. This is your life. How do you want to spend it? You're not detaching for them. You're detaching for you. Chances are everyone will benefit from it. We're like singers in a large chorus. If the person next to us goes off key, must we also? Wouldn't it help them and us if we strived to stay on key? We can learn to hold our part. We don't need to eliminate all our reactions to people and problems. Reactions can be useful. They can help us identify what we like and what feels good. They help us identify problems in and around us, but most of us react too much, and much of we react to is nonsense. It isn't all that important, and it doesn't merit the time and attention we give it. Some of the things we react to are other people's reactions to us. I'm mad because they're mad. They're mad because I was angry. I was angry because I thought they were angry with me, and they weren't angry. They were hurt because ... Our reactions can be such a chain reaction that frequently everyone's upset and nobody knows why. Then everyone's out of control and being controlled. Sometimes people behave in a certain way to provoke us to react in certain ways. If we stop reacting in these ways, we take all the fun out of their provocation. We remove ourselves from their control and take away their power over us. Sometimes our reactions provoke other people to react in certain ways. We help them justify certain behaviors. We don't need any more of that, do we? Sometimes reacting narrows our vision so much that we get stuck reacting to symptoms of problems. We may stay so busy reacting we never have the time or energy to identify the real problem, much less figure out how to solve it. We can spend years reacting to each drinking incident and resulting crisis, completely failing to recognize that the true problem is alcoholism. Learn to stop reacting in ways that aren't necessary and don't work. Eliminate the reactions that hurt you. Some suggestions follow to help you detach from people and your destructive reactions to them. These are only suggestions. There is no precise formula for detachment. You need to find your own way, a way that works for you. 1. Learn to recognize when you're reacting, when you're allowing someone or something to yank your chain. Usually when you start to feel anxious, afraid, indignant, outraged, rejected, sorry for yourself, ashamed, worried, or confused, something in your environment has snagged you. I'm not saying it's wrong to feel those feelings. Probably anybody would feel that way. The difference is we're learning to decide how long we want to feel that way and what we want to do about it. When we say someone made me feel, it often indicates we're reacting. Losing our sense of peace and serenity is probably the strongest indication that we are caught up in some sort of reaction. 2. Make yourself comfortable. When you realize you're having a chaotic reaction, say or do as little as possible until you can restore your level of serenity and peace. Do whatever you need to do that is not self or other destructive to help yourself relax. Take a few deep breaths, go for a walk, clean the kitchen, go into the bathroom, go to a friend's house, go to an Al-Anon meeting, read a meditation book, take a trip to Florida, watch a television program, find a way emotionally, mentally, and if necessary, physically, separate yourself from whatever you're reacting to. Find a way to ease your anxiety. Don't take a drink or drive the car down a side street at 85 miles an hour. Do something safe that will help restore your balance and ground you in yourself and your life. 3. Examine what happened. If it was a minor incident, you may be able to sort through it yourself. If you're facing a serious problem or if it's seriously upsetting you, you may want to discuss it with a friend to help clear your thoughts and emotions. Troubles and feelings go wild when we try to keep them caged inside. Talk about your feelings. Take responsibility for them. Feel whatever you have. Feel whatever feeling you have. Nobody made you feel. Somebody might have helped you feel a particular way, but you did your feeling all by yourself. Accept it. Then tell yourself the truth about what happened. Was someone trying to insult you? If in doubt about whether to interpret something as an insult or rejection, I prefer to believe it had nothing to do with me. It saves time and helps me feel good about myself. Were you trying to control someone or some event? How serious is the problem or issue now? Are you taking responsibility for someone else? Are you angry because someone didn't guess what you really wanted or what you were really trying to say? Are you taking someone's behavior too personally? Did someone push your insecurity or guilt buttons? Is it truly the end of the world, or is it merely sad and disappointing? 4. Figure out what you need to do to take care of yourself. Make your decisions based on reality and make them from a peaceful state. Do you need to apologize? Do you want to let it go? Do you need to have a heart-to-heart with someone? Do you need to make some other decision to take care of yourself? When you make your decision, keep in mind what your responsibilities are. You are not responsible for making other people see the light, and you do not need to set them straight. You are responsible for helping yourself see the light and for setting yourself straight. If you can't get peaceful about a decision, let it go. It's not time to make it yet. Wait until your mind is consistent and your emotions are calm. Slow down. You don't have to feel so frightened. You don't have to feel so frantic. Keep things in perspective. Make life easier for you. And the activity at the end of this chapter is 1. Pay attention to what triggers you in your environment. Are you spending too much time reacting to someone or something? Who or what? Are you spending too much time on social media? How are you reacting? Is that how you would choose to behave or feel if you had a choice? 2. Go through the previous steps on detachment for whatever or whoever is bothering you the most. If you need to talk to someone, select a trusted friend. If necessary, seek professional help. 3. What activities help you feel peaceful and comfortable? A 12-step meeting, a steaming hot shower, a good movie, and dancing are my favorites. Let's see how long chapter 7 is. What do you guys think? Do you want to read chapter 7 or no? I'm about to react to whatever you say in the comments. Oh, hey, babe, I just deleted that deck thing. I'm just letting you know. I don't usually stay for the book, but let it go because I was yards deep in sewing and I was 100% meant to hear every word of this. How do you feel? LOL. Yes. Okay. I feel like I could go either way. Okay, so let's do number 7 then. Set yourself free. Let go and let God. The 12-step program slogan. People say codependents are controllers. We nag, lecture, scream, holler, cry, beg, bribe, coerce, hover over, protect, accuse, chase after, run away from, trying to talk into, try to talk out of, attempt to induce guilt in, seduce, entrap, snoop, check on, demonstrate how much we've been hurt people in return so they know how it feels, threaten to hurt ourselves, pull power plays, deliver ultimatums, do things for, refuse to do things for, get even with, whine, vent, fury, on, act helpless, suffer in loud silence, try to please, lie, do sneaky little things, do sneaky big things, clutch at our hearts and threaten to die, grab our heads and threaten to go crazy, beat on our chests and threaten to kill, enlist the aids of supporters, gauge our own words carefully, sleep with, refuse to sleep with, have children with, bargain with, drag to counseling, drag out of counseling, talk mean about, talk mean to, insult, condemn, pray for miracles, pay for miracles, go to places we don't want to go, stay nearby, supervise, dictate, command, complain, write letters about, write letters to, stay home and wait for, go out and look for, calling out, call over and over looking for, drive down dark alleys at night hoping to see, chase down dark alleys at night hoping to catch, run down dark alleys at night to get away from, bring home, keep home, lock out, move away from, move with, scold, impress upon, advise, teach lessons to, set straight, insist, give in to, placate, provoke, try to make jealous, try to make afraid, remind, inquire, hint, look through the pockets, scroll through the cell phones, peek in wallets, search in dresser drawers, dig through glove boxes, look in toilet tanks, try to look into the future, search through the past, call relatives about, reason with, settle issues once and for all, settle them again, punish, reward, almost give up on, then try even harder, and a list of other handy maneuvers I've either forgotten or haven't tried yet. We are the people who make things happen. Codependents are the people who consistently and with great deal of effort and energy try to force things to happen. We control in the name of love. We do it because we're only trying to help. We do it because we know best how things should go and how people should behave. We do it because we're right and they're wrong. We control because we're afraid not to do it. We do it because we don't know what else to do. We do it to stop the pain. We control because we have to. We control because we don't think. We control because controlling is all we can think about. Ultimately, we may control because that's the way we've always done things. Tyrannical and dominating, some rule with an iron hand from a self-appointed throne. They are powerful, they know best, and by God it will be done this way. They will see to it. Others do their dirty work undercover. They hide behind a costume of sweetness and niceties and secretly go about their business, other people's business. Others, sighing and crying, claim inability, proclaim their dependence, announce their overall victimization, and successfully control through weakness. They are so helpless. They need your cooperation so badly. They can't live without it. Sometimes the weak are the most powerful manipulators and controllers. They have learned to tug at the guilt and pity strings of the world. Many codependents combine tactics, using a variety of methods, whatever works, or more accurately, whatever doesn't work, although we continue to hope it will. Regardless of the tactics, the goals remain the same. Make other people do what you want them to do. Make them behave as you think they should. Don't let them behave in ways you think they shouldn't, but probably would without your assistance. Force life's events to unravel and unfold in the manner and at such times that you have designated. Do not let what's happening or what might happen occur. Hold on tightly and don't let go. We have written the play and we will see to it that the actors behave and the scenes unfold exactly as we have decided they should. Never mind that we continue to buck reality. If we charge ahead insistently enough, we can, we believe, stop the flow of life, transform people, and change things to our liking. We are fooling ourselves. Let me tell you about Maria. She married a man who turned out to be an alcoholic. He was a binge drinker. He didn't drink every day, every weekend, or every month, but when he did, look out. He stayed drunk for days, sometimes weeks. He started drinking at 8 in the morning and drank until he passed out. He vomited all over, devastated the family's finances, got fired from jobs, and created unbearable chaos each time he drank. Life wasn't perfect between binges either. A sense of impending doom and unresolved feelings filled the air. Other problems, residues from drinking, cluttered their lives. They could never get ahead of the disasters. They were always starting over with a dirty slate. But it was better for Maria and her 3 children when her husband wasn't drinking. There was hope, too, that this time it would be different. It was never different. For years, each time Maria turned around or turned her back, her husband went on a binge. Whenever she left home, whenever she went to the hospital to deliver her babies, when her husband left town on a trip, or when he was out of sight for any reason, he drank. Whenever Maria returned or retrieved him from wherever he was drinking, he would abruptly quit drinking. Maria decided the key to her husband's sobriety was her presence. She could control the drinking and the pain it caused by sticking close to home and standing guard over her husband. Because she learned this method of control, and because of increasing feelings of shame, embarrassment, anxiety, and the overall trauma and the company's codependency, Maria became a recluse. She turned down opportunities to travel, and she refused to attend conferences that interested her. Even leaving the house for more than a trip to the grocery store began to threaten the delicate balance she'd created, or thought she had created. Despite her determined and desperate efforts, her husband still found opportunities to drink. He found ways to drink at home without her knowing about it, and he drank when she had no choice but to spend the night away from home. After one particularly disruptive bout, Maria's husband informed her that the impossible financial predicament they were in caused him to drink. He neglected to mention that his drinking had caused the impossible financial predicament. He said that if she would take a job and help out financially, he would not feel like he had to drink anymore. The pressure would be off. Maria thought about his request and then reluctantly agreed. She was afraid to leave home and felt concerned about setting up appropriate childcare arrangements. She didn't feel emotionally or mentally able to work. She especially resented taking a job to earn extra money when her husband was so financially irresponsible. But it was worth a try. Anything to keep this man sober. Before long, Maria found a job as an administrative assistant. She did well, better than she thought she would. People with codependency issues make great employees. They don't complain, they do more than their share, they do whatever is asked of them, they please people, and they try to do their work perfectly, at least for a while, until they become angry and resentful. Maria started feeling a little bit better about herself. She enjoyed her contact with people, something that had been missing in her life. She liked the feeling of independence, of earning her own money, and her employees appreciated her. They gave her increasing amounts of responsibility and were on the verge of promoting her. But about that time, Maria began to feel that old familiar anxiety, her cue that her husband was about to binge again. The feeling came and went for days. Then one day, it slammed her. That hand-wringing, gut-twisting anxiety came back in full force. Maria started calling her husband, but he didn't answer his phone. He wasn't at work. His coworkers didn't know where he was. She made more calls. Nobody knew where he was. She spent the day biting her nails, making frantic phone calls, and hoping her fellow employees wouldn't see through her everything's fine, no problem veneer. The daycare center called and reported that her husband hadn't picked up the children. She apologized and left work early to pick up her kids. Her husband finally strolled in at 1 a.m, drunk. The next day, she quit her job, walked out with no appropriate notice. She was back at home guarding her husband. Years later, she said, "I felt like I had to do this. I had to get things under control. My control." My question is this: who's controlling whom? Maria learned she was not controlling her husband or his drinking at all. He and his alcoholism were controlling her. This point was further clarified for me one evening when, during a family group facilitation I had at a treatment center, the wife of an alcoholic talked openly to her husband, a man who had spent many years of their marriage drinking, unemployed, and in prison. "You accuse me of trying to control you, and I guess I have," she said. "I've gone to bars with you so you wouldn't drink so much. I've let you come home when you were abusive and drunk so you wouldn't drink anymore or hurt yourself. I've measured your drinks, drank with you, and I hate drinking, hid your bottles, and took you to AA meetings. But the truth is," she said, "you've been controlling me. All those letters from prison telling me what I've wanted to hear, all those promises, all those words, and every time I'm ready to leave you, to walk out for good, you do or say just the right thing to keep me from leaving. You know what I want to hear, and that's what you tell me, but you never change. You never intended to change. You just want to control me." He offered a half smile and nodded when she said that. "Yes," he said, "I have been trying to control you, and I've been doing a pretty good job of it." Divorce. Look, I just reacted to that, didn't I? That bastard. I just did it again. Okay. He offered a half smile and nodded when she said that. "Yes," he said, "I've been trying to control you, and I've been doing a pretty good job of it." When we attempted to control people and things we have no business controlling, we are controlled. We forfeit our power to think, feel, and act in accordance with our best interests. We frequently lose control of ourselves. Often we are being controlled not just by people, but by diseases such as alcoholism and other compulsive disorders. These are powerful forces. Never forget that addicts are expert controllers. We have met our match when we attempt to control them or their disease. We lose the battles. We lose the wars. We lose ourselves, our lives. Borrowing a phrase from Al-Anon, you didn't cause it, you can't control it, and you can't cure it. Stop trying. We become utterly frustrated when we try to do the impossible, and we usually prevent the possible from happening. I believe that clutching tightly to a person or thing, or forcing my will upon any given situation, eliminates the possibility of doing anything constructive about that situation, the person, or me. My controlling blocks access to my higher self. It blocks other people's ability to grow. It stops events from happening naturally. It prevents me from enjoying people or events. Control is an illusion. It doesn't work. We can't control alcoholism. We can't control anyone's compulsive behaviors. We cannot and have no business trying to control anyone's emotions, thoughts, or choices. We cannot control the outcomes of events. We cannot control life. Some of us can barely control ourselves. People ultimately do what they want to do. They feel how they want to feel or how they are feeling. They think what they want to think. They do the things they believe they need to do, and they will change only when they are ready to change. It doesn't matter if they are wrong and we are right. It doesn't matter if they're hurting themselves. It doesn't matter that we could help them if they'd only listen and cooperate with us. It doesn't matter, doesn't matter, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. We cannot change people. Any attempts to control them are a delusion as well as an illusion. People will either resist our efforts or redouble their efforts or to prove that we can't control them. They may temporarily adapt to our demands, but the moment we turn our backs, they will return to their natural state. Furthermore, people will punish us for making them do something they don't want to do or be something they don't want to be. No amount of control will affect a permanent or desirable change in another person. We can sometimes do things that increase the probability that people will want to change, but we can't even guarantee or control that. And that's the truth. It's too bad. It's sometimes hard to accept, especially if someone you love is self-harming and hurting you, but that's the way it is. The only person you can now or ever change is yourself. The only person who it is your business to control is you. Detach, surrender. Sometimes when we do, the result we have been waiting for and hoping for happens quickly, almost miraculously. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it never happens, but you will benefit. You don't have to stop caring or loving. You don't have to tolerate abuse. You don't have to abandon constructive problem-solving methods such as professional intervention. You only need to put your emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical hand back in your own pocket and leave things and people alone. Let them be. Make any decisions you need to make to take care of yourself, but don't make them to control other people. Start taking care of yourself. But this is so important to me, many people protest. I can't detach. If it's that important to you, that's all the more reason to detach. I heard some wisdom on detachment out of the mouths of babes, my babies. Sometimes my youngest son, Shane, would hang on too tightly and too long after a hug. He'd start to tip me over. I'd lose my balance and become impatient for him to stop hugging me. I began to resist him. Perhaps he did it to keep me close to him a little longer. Maybe it was a form of control. I don't know. One night when he did this, my daughter watched until even she became frustrated and impatient. Shane, she said, there comes a time to let go. For each of us, there comes a time to let go. You will know when that time has come. When you've done all you can do, it's time to detach. Deal with your feelings, face your fears about losing control, gain control of yourself and your responsibilities, free others to be who they are. In doing so, you will set yourself free. Activity. Number 1, is there an event or person in your life that you are trying to control? Explain this. Write a few paragraphs about it to gain understanding. 2, in what ways mentally, physically, emotionally, etc. are you being controlled by whatever or whomever you are attempting to control? 3, what would happen to you and the other person if you detach from the situation or person? Will that probably happen anyway, despite your attempts to control? How are you benefiting by attempting to control the situation? How is the other person benefiting from your attempts to control? How effective are you at your attempts at controlling the outcome of events? 4, keep a control journal. Get to know what triggers your need to control. Oh, Maria, I know how you feel. Yes. Divorce. Okay. Well, I think that's going to do it. Thank you guys so much for being my people and for hanging out with me on this Friday. Those of you that are on Patreon, you probably got the message, but we're not going to do the live stream that we usually do tomorrow because we usually do the live stream the first Saturday of every month. There's 5 Saturdays, and so we'll do a From the Vault reading tomorrow, and then the live stream will be next week, and then the regularly scheduled pre-recorded readings come after that, and then we'll have one more From the Vault reading, and that will sum up the month of January. So I'm just going to take a little bit of a rest, and I hope you guys are resting as well. And Happy New Year. I don't think I've said that. Happy New Year. I think that's all I've got for you guys. So thank you for showing up. We sell candles if you're at all interested. If you're doing any New Year stuff, we have ritual candles. And we also have scented candles. And Alex will probably drop the link there. And Alex, can you end the chat because I closed out of my buttons on accident?
Can I what?
Can you end it? Because I don't have the button to end it because I accidentally closed out of the deck thing.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay. I'll just sit like this until I go. Bye, guys.